Today, we will be taking you behind the curtain and sharing 10 secrets about Nintendo's headquarters. And we were at PAX and got a chance to play Super Mario Wonder. What did we think of it? Keep listening to find out.
We are fresh back from PAX and Nintendo Live. We're honestly both a little rundown, which is
I was going to say, we're not super fresh feeling.
We're doing this remote. We might be a little surly, a little grumpy, a little tired, but that's fine. We want to tell you all about it. And yeah, we've got our Mario Wonder impressions. We have our full PAX panel just as a little segment that we're going to drop right into this episode. So it's going to be great.
It's going to be awesome. It was a great time. And yeah, keep listening and find out what we thought of all the stuff that we did at PAX. As usual, everything that we do on this channel is made possible by our wonderful Patreon family. Many of them were at PAX, meeting us in person, hanging out with us during our live panel. So thank you so much. If you want to join us, we're at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
Yeah, our community was really like a warm blanket at PAX because there were so many of them at our panel, and they were supporting us there. We did a great meetup with Captain Alex for the Kit and Krysta custom controller. We got to meet so many of them there. And yeah, we found out the community travels. So it's great to have them with us when we do these events. And then we pick up the conversation where we left off on the Discord, and it's wonderful.
It's so true that our community truly is like a family to us, and being able to meet them in person at places like PAX and you know, taking our online conversations, IRL has been just one of the highlights, I think, of PAX for us this year. So thank you to all of the wonderful Patreon community members that came and said hi and hung out with us at PAX. It was so great to meet all of you.
That's right. All right, we have on our channel a full vlog of our entire trip, which is great. It's a
long
It's a meaty one, like 30 minutes.
I tried to cut it down, like truly. I really was like, this is so long. And
you
then
were
I was like, I can't.
I'm done with the first cut, but it's 45 minutes. Like, we gotta take the shears to this a little bit.
The feature film of Kit and Krysta at PAX.
Right.
But yes, it was meaty, because we did so much.
We really did.
At PAX. I wanted to like capture all of that and share it with you guys.
But now that you're back and have like a moment of reflection, like what did you think of this one?
I think you're right. I was editing the vlog and sort of rewatching some of the things that we did. And I always love to do that because it really is like a video diary of your time spent somewhere. And I really think that this is probably the best PAX ever. I'm gonna like definitively say it. Not one of, but the best PAX ever. I think we did so much. We got to spend time with so many of you guys in person. And I don't know, I just felt like this one was just like really incredible. What about you?
I think so too. I think even if you remove the Nintendo Live component of it, like this is really the premier gaming event in this country, at least, where there's so many games of all different sizes, really great representation for indies, big studios sort of, picking the right thing that they want to put out there at the right time. Really good, just feeling in the air from everybody having a great time. They really took over Seattle this year, which
really did.
I think this is a plus and a minus where, the show has grown to be bigger than ever. But I wonder if there's some drawback to that where it's hard to see everything that you want to see. I realize it's a 4-day show, but not everybody can stay for 4 days. I think you would be probably hard pressed if you really wanted to say, well, I saw everything that PAX had to offer. I think that could be hard to do.
I think it could be really hard to do. We did not stay for the full 4 days. That would be such a marathon to do that. It would be exhausting. The other thing that, we both noted in the vlog is that now they have it split into the two convention centers. That new convention center is amazing, beautiful. But having to sort of trek between the two can be a little tiring. Like we were talking to other people in our community where all of us were like, our legs are actually tired from walking around so much between the convention centers. And it was kind of like, you can just see how much this show has grown and like just how big it is now. So yeah, it's really incredible. We've been going to PAX for a really long time. I can't even count how many PAXs we've been to, but it's a lot. And to see it like become what it is today is like it's kind of crazy actually to think about that.
Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons that makes it hard to see everything is that it's a little bit split up in all these different buildings, and even some of the buildings can feel very fragmented themselves. So I would love for them to try that. That new building is really big, and it
It's
felt
so
like
nice.
if they really tried, they could just fit it all in there. And I think that would be for the best, where you just have one building, and
Hmm.
it makes sense to navigate that building, and everything would just be there. I would come away feeling a little bit better about my prospects for definitively seeing everything,
Yeah.
because right now there's just a lot of nooks and crannies that would be a little bit easy to miss.
Yes. A lot of nooks and crannies, a lot of going up, a lot of escalators.
Yeah, somehow everything the default is at like the top of the building. So it's like, well, I made it in, but now I have to do 5 floors of escalators.
Yeah. So true, so true.
Yeah. Nintendo Live, though. So we spent our last day at Nintendo Live. And again, of course, we had been to the Kyoto Nintendo Live in 2019 when we were with Nintendo, and we were very eager to see and sort of compare like what did they keep, what did they change, what's different. Um, as you'll see in the vlog, we spent a lot of time in the line to get in. But I think we had a good time once we did get in. What again with a little bit of separation now. How are you feeling about that?
Yeah, I think Nintendo Live, and again, good to compare between what we did in Kyoto. Um, a different experience because obviously we were with Nintendo, so we had a very different experience, like traversing Nintendo Live, like all the logistics of it. I was very cranky during the process of getting into Nintendo Live. But you know what? Thinking about it, I'm kind of glad that we had that experience because now we're having the experience that you guys might be having trying to get into an event like Nintendo Live. And now we can, kind of share that with you as well. Like it is how you guys experience Nintendo events. We never had that experience before being on the inside, and now we truly have the same experience, which is great. Um but once we got in, I thought it was awesome. It definitely felt very similar to the vibe of the Kyoto Nintendo Live, where it's less about like new announcements and new stuff, and more about celebrating, like just celebrating all things Nintendo. And I think they did that. They had beautiful, photo ops. They had all of the big games, old and new, out for people to play. Obviously, Mario Wonder was there, which is a new thing and exciting that people got to try, us included, got to try, a new game that hasn't come out yet. I really love the musical performances. I thought that was a great touch to have both sort of the Zelda Symphony and the Mario Big Band as a way to like make it feel more celebratory. But yeah, I thought all in all, it looked and felt very similar to the Kyoto one, and it was great.
Yeah, when we were in Japan, I mean, we literally had the all access pass to go anywhere, do anything, cut any line. So it is interesting to get the other perspective, of not being the silver spoon Nintendo brand ambassador
Oh,
anymore. Spending hour 72 at Nintendo Live, just waltzing in and playing nonstop Mario Wonder. Couldn't be us. But it does give you a different perspective. I thought they made
hmm,
some really good adjustments for this one. So I think we mentioned this before at the Japan Nintendo Live. There was no third party content at
yeah,
all,
that's true.
which was interesting. And they're like, well, it's a Nintendo event. People come for the Nintendo, so we're giving them that. Um,
Yikes!
there was not a huge third party presence, but they had some, and I think it was
Yeah.
meaningful. And I think it means a lot for those partners who were there, because that's a big opportunity for them. They also had, stuff from the movie. They have a big Lego presence there.
Hmm. Yeah.
So you were getting a better holistic picture of what the entirety of Nintendo right now in 2023 is, which I think makes a lot of sense. And, there was a lot of debate at the beginning of, how are they going to weigh new content with older content. And I think what they did, in picking Mario Wonder to be the one thing to focus on that was new was a smart idea, and I think that really worked out. They had enough stations. They had so many stations of that
Hmm.
that you could get that experience and not feel like, oh well, I spent my whole day waiting in line to play that and all these other things I didn't get to see. It felt like it was just one of many things that you could do in there. So I think they did make some good enhancements to the blueprint that Japan gave them. So I thought overall it was a very strong event. A big question I have is, if they choose to do this again, like next year or at some other time, will they do it again with a PAX, or will they sort of start to spread out on their own and do a
Yeah.
true standalone Nintendo event in maybe a bigger media market? I mean, Sal's pretty big, but you could go to a New York, you could go to a Los Angeles, and
Hmm.
make it even bigger.
Yeah, and that's what they do in Japan. It's a standalone event that they do. It's not tied to like Tokyo Game Show or anything like that. It's independent, and they do it at a time that makes sense for them. And yeah, so I do wonder. That's a good point. Like whether or not they're sort of testing the waters, attaching it to a PAX this year, um, and what it might look like in future years. Because I do think this was successful enough for them to do again. Like I think if they were measuring, like, oh, did this thing work? Were people interested? Like I think the answer is yes. Back to the line really quick though.
The line, though.
The line though.
Yes.
I do think that experience can be improved a little bit. Like I think the issue is that it's fine if you have a really popular event and people need to wait a line. That's not a problem. That's like very standard, and people are used to that. I think the problem is that it's both a lottery and a line, so you're sort of losing a lot of time, like both ways. And when we were experiencing the getting into Nintendo Live, I almost said Nintendo Line, getting into Nintendo Live part of it, it did seem like kind of disorganized. Like there was multiple rooms of lines, and then you're trying to do different things like pick up a gift bag only to go into another line, and then you're checking your QR code like 6 times.
Well, they
Like,
had kind of a shocking bottleneck at the end where, you need to show your QR code to get in. And I think they had maybe like 2 or 3 people doing that for the thousands and thousands of people who were trying to get in. And it's like,
right.
you should probably have at a minimum like 20 people doing. Imagine how fast it would move if you had 20 people doing that.
Yeah. And
So I don't
it takes time
know.
to scan a code and all that
Yeah, I
stuff
had
too.
heard that the day before us was not as bad line wise, but I imagine somebody had to do a calculation of the throughput of, well, here's how many people we can get in with this many people scanning it. It's not like it was an understaffed event either. So that was a bit strange.
Yeah, and I think once we got into the actual venue for Nintendo Live, like there was space in there, like a lot of space. So if you want people to play your new game, Mario Wonder or whatever, like get people in, because that line to play Mario Wonder was like 1 minute long for us because it was the venue was like empty because no one could get in because they were in the line. So that part of it was a little bit of a head scratcher for me. And we were noting this in our vlog. It seemed like something had gone wrong because we saw a lot of members of the event staff, including
The line was not moving for a good 45 minutes that we were in it, really.
yeah, something had gone
And you
wrong.
were asking, like, well, is it because of the Zelda concert was happening? Did they not? But like that was in the whole other side of the building, so I don't see
I
how
know. I wasn't
there
sure.
there was something else. Like who maybe their QR code readers had a glitch or something. I don't know. That we
Yeah.
don't know. But yeah, there was some concern shown by the events people that we saw and recognized
Yeah.
as we were getting
Yeah.
deeper into the line.
Like the head of the events team was out trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah,
So when that happens, when like the senior director of the events team is out in the line, like
right.
something is not right. And they all looked pretty stressed out. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I do think for the future, it will be best if they separate this out from PAX for both sides. Honestly, again, we talked about PAX being really big already, and I think if you were there less than 3 days and you wanted to do Nintendo Live, that would be really crammed and rushed.
Yeah.
And we also heard, rumblings from a few of the exhibitors saying like, oh, it's nice that Nintendo's here, but it does kind of hurt our foot traffic as
Yeah.
well, because we're kind of competing with another event that's built into this event. So I understand why they did it this way for the first year. It's kind of a safety net. It made sense because it's such a big event and a new thing that they've never done before. But I think for everybody, it's best to separate them out and do two distinct events in the future.
I think so too. I think it's a good test. I think they did the test and it was good. They can make some good changes and have it be sort of like a standalone thing next time.
And then of course Europe has still not done one of these. Maybe their argument was, well, we're going to do Gamescom this year and that'll be sort of our return to a big consumer event, and we'll see how NOAs goes and we'll go from there. It's very much a formula that you could take to any big market. So maybe we'll see one there too.
I wonder if Japan's going to do one this year. They did it in October, I think.
Yeah, I think they have another one scheduled for not too far away.
Yeah. Okay. So it'll be good to see like what they do there too. But yeah, it seems like this is going to be a thing, and Nintendo is probably going to do more of these, which is great.
Yeah. All right, just a moment. We're going to get into our PAX panel, the 10 Secrets of Nintendo Headquarters. But first, we got to shout out our sponsor, BetterHelp. Thank you, BetterHelp, for sponsoring this episode.
Thank you.
There can be a lot of times in life where you just lay awake in bed because you've got some big decision or dilemma or something that is racing through your brain that you cannot work out on your own. And in those times, it really helps to have someone to speak to, just to talk through the problem. And that's where a BetterHelp therapist can really help. Yeah,
I definitely had this recently when we were prepping for our big PAX panel. And I get really nervous doing these live panels, even though I don't know why. Like I can't explain it. But
feelings
I do have
of self-doubt were creeping in.
Yeah, you definitely have these. And then of course I got a lot of like racing, nervous, anxious thoughts running through my head right before I would go to sleep. I would be thinking about this a lot, and so true that a BetterHelp therapist can really help to ease your mind and get you out of some of these negative cycles that you get yourself into. And it's great because you can talk to the therapist any way you want to, send a text, over the phone, video call. There's so many options for you to get someone to talk to and find some mental and emotional peace, which is really important.
Yeah, and they're truly impartial, which I was not, which is why it was useless to talk to me.
No, useless.
And they're also experts in helping people to work through these problems. So yeah, it can be a really great solution if you've got something that's keeping you up at night. So get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit betterhelp.com/Kit and Krysta today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/Kit and Krysta. All right. It's time for the big PAX panel. Here we go.
It is live.
Welcome to the Kit and Krysta Podcast Live.
Woo!
Yes.
Yay!
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for coming. It's so great to see all of you here. I'm really nervous.
This is like our 5th or 6th PAX panel, and some of the questions you were asking me before included, why are you doing this to me? Dear God, why? Some of these things weren't even questions.
I don't know. I always get a little nervous, but because I really want to do a good job for you guys.
It's going to be great.
It's going to be great.
We have to start by having the usual trade show banter, which is, how's your show going?
Oh yeah, how's your show going?
Because we've been ships in the night. I haven't seen you until today, actually.
Right,
until right
exactly.
Now,
Thank
right?
goodness. I want to see you. So, how's my show going? It's going great. We saw some really interesting games today. What was your favorite thing?
Well, we went to the Art of Nintendo Power exhibit, which is, I think, a floor down from here.
Yeah.
And I really recommend that everybody go see that. That was incredible stuff.
You had an emotional moment.
I did. I had been following Stefan on social media for a long time, but finally got to meet him. And Nintendo Power was a huge part of my childhood. And I got to see some of the artwork from the pieces that I obsessed over as a kid. So I did really have like the Ratatouille moment, like staring at these layouts that he had of
there was the finished article with the individual pieces of artwork. We're going to try really hard to get Stefan on the podcast pretty soon after this. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
We're excited about that.
Yeah, I think so.
You guys would like to hear that, I'm sure, but you had a Ninja Turtles moment where you were transported back to your 8-year-old self.
Now, he also has, this is like his big new get for PAX this year, is the old Mario costume character. Not the fancy new one they have at Universal or the one that they have at Nintendo Live. Like from like the early 90s.
Yeah, this thing, he did a great job restoring it. He was saying that he kind of had to like taxidermy.
He taxidermied
this Mario, which sounds horrifying, but looks great. And funny story, we actually had the second part of that costume at the Redwood City Nintendo office. It was sort of the Yoshi part of it.
The Yoshi attachment.
Right, where basically you could stick the Mario costume into the Yoshi costume. It was
like the N64 expansion slots. Put Yoshi here.
Inside, yeah. And it was like a very strange, very dusty, filthy Yoshi. I got into that costume.
What happened to that?
That photo is somewhere. I'm going to
try
really hard to find that photo, and we'll put it in our vlog because that was an interesting moment for me, getting into that filthy Yoshi costume.
We also had a very strange lunch today. We had a late lunch because the panel's a little bit late. We're not going to be eating until later. We went to a place that we went last year, which is a great pho place, the Vietnamese noodles. And we walked in at like 2:30 or something because we saw, like, well, they're just open nonstop.
Right, and it was packed full of people.
It was absolutely packed. They didn't even barely have a table. And the guy says, we're closed.
And then he goes, actually, are you hungry? And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, we are.
And then he goes,
that's why we're here.
Okay, then we're open. And I was like, all right, great. So then he proceeds to go like interrupt these people that are having this lunch at a table for 4, and he like separates the table so that there was a table for us.
But it was also completely silent. A packed restaurant.
Like pin drop silent. There was no music. No one was talking to each other. It was just the sound of noodles slurping in silence. And I was like, am I getting pranked right now? What's going on? So bizarre.
We order, and they bring out the noodles, and of course you reach for the sriracha, but there's nothing there. You just like instinctively
there's no
reach for
sriracha
nothing.
because he had separated the table.
Right,
so
it's
the
like, all right,
sriracha was at the other person's table.
Surely one of these tables has a sriracha. The table to the left of us had it. So you're like, okay, well, maybe we can ask. But we start to listen. They're having a very like intense and emotional conversation.
It was like, my father abandoned me as a child. I finally reunited with him. And then all these things happen. I don't like to talk about this. And I was looking over like, all I want is
But you needed the sriracha.
Like badly. Because I can't, okay, I don't know about you guys, but I cannot eat the pho without the sriracha, okay? So I was like waiting for the moment where I could, sorry to interrupt your like deep life story, but I'm gonna need you to pass the sriracha.
You were George Costanza in that moment. I'm terribly sorry. I can really empathize.
But
can you pass the sriracha?
Eventually I did get the sriracha because there was a natural pause in the story. But I felt for that person that was having like maybe like a moment of vulnerability.
Well, way to go. You got the sriracha.
I got the sriracha.
We are going to Nintendo Live tomorrow.
Legitly.
How many of you have been? Yeah?
Oh.
Cool? Yeah?
Who has played Mario Wonder? Oh.
Nice.
That's awesome.
You'll love it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully they'll let us play. We'll see.
Yeah, we went to the Kyoto Nintendo Live in 2019, so excited to sort of compare what it's like. But hopefully we don't get whisked away to the dark room during the check-in.
Sent straight to Nintendo jail for our...
Into the dungeon we go.
For our bad behavior.
Yeah. So we have a fun topic for you today, which is 10 hidden secrets of Nintendo headquarters.
Yeah.
Which is because we're here in Seattle. We obviously did not work at the Nintendo Redmond headquarters, but we sure came here a lot.
Yeah, we were here all the time for business trips. I think probably like every couple months we were up here. Yeah.
Right, so we knew it pretty well. And that's the building. It's in Redmond. You know, you can't really go in unless you're an employee, but it's fun, like to just drive by and you can take a picture by the sign. Like if that sounds cool to you, I would say you should do it.
Yeah, for sure. And it definitely is pretty like lock and key. Like they're very strict about who can get in there.
But if you just go and take a picture with the sign, it'll be fine.
But if you're in the front of the building, that's
right,
totally fine.
right. So we asked ourselves the question, like, well, could we do this with the old Nintendo Redwood City office where we worked, which is now gone? And we were really racking our brain of like, gosh, what are the cool things that were there? What were the secrets that were there? And we came up with one thing, which was this sign, which was posted in, it was in the men's room. Was it in the women's room?
Oh, yeah.
This is real.
This is a personal photo that you took. Don't tell Nintendo.
Nobody needs to know where these came from.
This is where we get sent to jail. But this is an actual sign in the bathroom. I don't know why.
I'm not sure the
origin
Nintendo
story
art
of
team
this.
approved this one.
I don't think that maybe the IP team is excited for Wario to be associated with the number 2, but hey. It's just
Stinky things.
This stinks. Wahaha. Great.
So we got 10 things. Let's start with number 1. So the office was broken into these sort of themed quadrants. So depending in which department you were in, it's like, well, I'm in the Donkey Kong quadrant, I'm in the Mario quadrant, I'm in the Mario quadrant. So I remember like Treehouse is in the Yoshi quadrant.
The licensing team was in the, were there also in Yoshi? I can't remember now.
I think they may have been in the Mario quadrant.
Maybe Mario, yeah.
Right, but all the quadrants had this sort of themed artwork, and apologies for the poor quality photos here.
They don't let you take photos in the office, so we actually had to like dig.
We found these online, and I'm surprised we could even find these. But yeah, they definitely have this sort of like really like cringy, like
corporate
phrasing
stuff.
Like,
get fired up.
Go bananas and make a blast.
Doesn't make any
Get
sense.
fired up.
Why does it say
Jump
that?
for it. Any guesses of what? So when we did visit, we had other people who were in our team that were in a quadrant. Any thoughts on what quadrant?
Yeah. What quadrant do you guys
we
think
would
we
have
were
been
in?
sitting in? We were in the Donkey Kong.
Donkey Kong. Wario's a good
quadrant.
guess, but we were in the Donkey Kong quadrant. Guess who else was in the Donkey Kong quadrant?
That's where Reggie was.
That's right.
Yeah.
Donkey
You better
Kong
be on your best
quadrant
behavior.
is the executive office area. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, very exclusive. Our sort of like little office area looked right into Reggie's office, so no funny business in the Donkey Kong quadrant.
No monkeying around.
No.
No. So from there also, the conference rooms themselves, the conference rooms everywhere, follow the same sort of theming. So if you had a meeting room in the Donkey Kong quadrant, it might be called Cranky Kong or Espresso. They really did go to a lot of effort to come up with cool names. A personal favorite of mine was Another Castle.
Another Castle.
I like that one. Yeah. That was a fun touch.
Yeah. Some of them are like deep cuts too, like games that you haven't heard about for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this is from the Reggie Fils-Aimé video from several years ago. So this is actually on the top floor of the headquarters, and all the rooms there have a Zelda theme, which is very cool.
And the top floor is all conference rooms. It's actually really cool because they have sort of this like open rooftop garden, almost like a Zen garden in the middle, and all the conference rooms are around that Zen garden.
Right,
so it was a really beautiful space up there.
Right, so the name of this room was called Master Sword. This was like if you're having a very important meeting, not the very important meeting where Bill Trinnan's stuffing donuts, or like a really important meeting. Like this is where you would have it, but they also had like Zelda, Link, Ganon, those were all meeting rooms that were there as well.
On the wall too, there was clocks that showed the time in Kyoto and other places where Nintendo had offices. And that's where we had like all of our big like E3 meetings, like any big executive meeting always happened in Master Sword. The thing about that conference room though, it always gave us headaches. Remember that?
There was some way, like if you sat on this left side of the table like you see here, there was some way that the light came in that was like refracting through the window, and like by the end of the meeting you're just like, I can't, I'm out.
You need to like pack your aspirin when you go have long days in there. Yeah.
Exactly. Next. So Howard Lincoln. Do people know who Howard Lincoln is? Very important figure in Nintendo history.
Very important. Yeah.
So. Right.
Exactly.
Right. So this was actually sort of when mature games were a hot topic, and Thank you, exactly, Night Trap. This is from C-SPAN, important stuff. But Howard Lincoln was the former chairman of Nintendo of America, obviously a long time ago, but he is still involved in some things with the company. He's also, was involved with the Seattle Mariners to a very high degree, but he actually still has an office
in the Donkey Kong Quadrant.
In Nintendo of America. So when we would come visit, sometimes, it could be like a mad shuffle to find places for us to sit. Sometimes it was like, well, you all can cram into whatever conference room, or we have this spare table. One time I came in and they're like, okay, Kit, we have arranged for you to sit in Howard Lincoln's office.
Big shot.
And I got scared.
You're like, Howard Lincoln's gonna come in and like,
this is a prank.
Your butt.
He's gonna say, who the heck are you?
Get out.
Get out now.
Never sit in my chair again, you dirty, filthy casual.
Yeah.
That's what he's gonna say to you.
Yeah. We never. Did you ever get a chance to meet him?
I met him once.
Really?
I did, yes.
What was the circumstance?
We were at a Mariners game.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
You weren't there.
I never got a chance to meet him. I wish I did. He's definitely
He's awesome.
A legend.
He is such a nice guy and
super.
very. I mean, he had a beer at the time, so very chill. So.
The memory I have of him was, again, going back to my youth with Nintendo Power. They did like a Q&A with him and Mr. Arakawa.
Oh, yeah.
Who they're like together, they were like the two, top people running Nintendo of America. Yeah. And somehow the interview ended with boxers or briefs.
Oof.
What?
TMI.
And I can't remember who had which, but one had one and one had the other.
Oh, we'll never know now. Yeah, those two were like very casual. I think very, they were very personable, and I think it changed a little bit after Arakawa-san left Nintendo, but they were kind of like that. So I can see why they answered that question.
Right. All right. In the old Nintendo office, they did have like a cool display of Nintendo stuff. And they built the new Nintendo office that exists there now. I think that went up about 2010. And right as you walk into the lobby, like when you get past reception, there's this massive sort of museum-like display that, this is a picture from the old office. The new one is like, levels and levels beyond that.
Yeah.
And it sort of is like flanked by the Nintendo store, where we did our various shopping spree videos, which you lost, I have to remind you.
Excuse me. Excuse you.
There was a big deal around that, because when we did that video, something you do in videos is called color correction, where you can kind of adjust the color of everything to get it to look just right, depending on the lighting that you're using when you film. Somebody looked closely and they're like, there's a different color of Joy-Con that they are selling in the Nintendo store. That's for employees only.
It made every news just like, I was like, oh my gosh, we're going to get in so much trouble for this, because they think that there's like something that doesn't exist because of our video.
Right.
I was like, who's going to call? Is Reggie going to call me and yell at me for like spreading rumors?
Well, Reggie knows there's no such thing, so no, he's not.
No, but I was really worried about it. I was like, oh, they're shutting us down. They're shutting us down.
Yeah.
This is it. But there was a rumor going around.
Fake news. There is no secret employee Joy-Con. No, it's just regular Joy-Con.
It was literally the same Joy-Con.
Right. But anyway, so there's this big museum display, which like is covered at all times. It has like a curtain covering it.
It was so bizarre, because they were really like hyping up this museum display, and when they opened that new office, it was like a big deal. Like, we're going to have this museum that's going to have like all of this great stuff from Nintendo's history. It's going to be awesome. We're like, that sounds great. Maybe we can bring people to tour the office and they can see this. What a great thing to have, have at headquarters. But they would never let anyone
Must never
look
be
at
shown.
it. Why would you do that? That's just weird. Why would you have a museum that no one can see?
For all my years of working there and all my visits to that office, I never saw that museum.
It was literally curtained off. No, I never saw it.
There were times where I was like off in the distance, and I think they were like bringing new employees through there. Like that's a good thing of like, here's the company's history. But just if you were just like walking around, like you wouldn't have a chance.
I just didn't understand it.
Yeah.
It made no sense to me.
That was a little strange.
It was very strange, and they just literally had the whole thing curtained off 99% of the time.
Yeah.
So it made no sense.
No, they're building that museum in Japan.
Maybe they'll curtain that off too.
Maybe they'll just have a locked door. Like, you actually can't get in.
Yeah.
The stuff in here is really cool.
Museum, but you can't see it, actually. So, too bad.
Next, what number are we on?
I don't
I
know.
lost track.
I've lost track. Oh, okay.
Does this look familiar to anybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, this was from the 2016 E3, thank you.
Yes.
Where it was all Zelda Breath of the Wild
Probably one
themed.
of the coolest Nintendo booths we've ever had. It was
Absolutely.
like there was a lot of discussion, like, is it a risk? Are we making a bad decision just having only
was
one
a big
game
gamble.
in the booth? Is that going to be like bad for us? But it turned out to be so amazing.
Right, and I've been seeing the pictures from Nintendo Live, and it seems like they have, taken this idea of theming a place out, and they've really gone overboard with that, where there's like a themed photo and a statue of this and a statue of that.
So
but this
cool.
was really like the first time that we had gone all out with something like that in an E3, and they made, we had the Big Guardian, we had the Link, we had Bokoblins, we had all sorts of things, and it was in this beautiful themed booth. And I remember they were even telling us, like, we have fans in the ceiling, so you can feel the wind going through your hair, like.
They really went all out.
The events team was in their bag on this one.
I mean, the events team at Nintendo is probably the best ever. That's why Nintendo Live is so cool.
Right.
But this was one of those just magical booths. And I remember you took a photo of you laying under a tree.
Just taking a little rest.
A little rest.
Yeah.
It was very relaxing in there.
But we always wondered, like, so you have the E3, it goes great. Now what happens to this stuff?
Yeah.
And I will say at Nintendo Live, I have seen some things resurface.
They dug into those archives.
From either somebody's basement. They're like, all right, you need to get that stuff out.
You need to get that stuff back,
right.
yeah.
But there was one thing that made a notable return after E3, which was this Guardian.
The big Guardian, yeah.
Which was, they actually put it outside the office. This is sort of outside the lunch area where people could sit outside and eat lunch. And this was an incredible addition to it. And I think they said, like, well, it's not going to last forever. I think, with the weather in Seattle, so much rain, I think they estimated, like, well, we might get like 6 months out of this.
We're like, really? How's that possible?
But at least we'll be putting it to good use.
Yeah.
And I think
Years
up
later,
until the time we left, like, it was still there, and it still looked great.
It was so fun too, because we'd see it in all different seasons. Remember, like that one time it snowed. The Guardian was like covered in snow. It was so cool.
Right.
But yeah, they were like they seemed very like down about the quality of it, but it was fine. And it looked great.
Do not touch or climb on walls or sculpture. Photos prohibited. Do not post online. These are not our photos.
These are not.
Who did it?
It wasn't me. It wasn't me. I found them in there.
We followed those rules.
Yeah, they don't like you to take any photos, like, ever in that office somehow. So there you go.
Next.
Aha.
This is a fun one. So we were talking about the old office, which they switched over to the new office in 2010, which was an exciting thing because I joined in 2009,
right?
And there was a lot of excitement about the new office, and you could see, the building coming up as it was being built, and I think the feeling of the old office was people were a little bit down on it.
Yeah, I worked in the office for a number of years. I actually, when I first started at Nintendo, I kind of was at that office the most, getting trained and figuring out what to do with everything in that marketing department before we moved down to Redwood City. So I spent a lot of time in this old office, and it was definitely old, like depressingly old and small. And definitely, I think that the company just outgrew that location. So it was time to build the new office. I remember we had this big, every year Nintendo has sort of like this all-company meeting where they make like big announcements, and it was one of those like Oprah moments where it's like, and one more thing, we're building a new office, woo! And everyone like flipped out. It was like an exciting, sort of one of those like, you get a card moments.
I didn't work there, but I did have sort of a different feeling about that office. I liked it. It felt very cozy. Like you were never far from whoever you were going to go to talk to.
Small.
It always reminded me of like a log cabin, like kind of nestled in the Pacific Northwest. It's like this is cozy. This is nice. I like being here.
It definitely, it was crowded in there, so maybe that's why it felt cozy to you. But it was just small.
The first time I went there was on a visit when I was working at Konami, and we did something with the game Elebits, which was a very early. Anybody play Elebits? Yes. Nice.
Oh,
Elebits.
wow.
Love
Elebit
Elebits.
fans. Okay.
We brought the dev team to Nintendo, and they were talking about, what can you do for us? This is a cool game, et cetera, et cetera. And I mean, it was a huge deal for me to go inside the Nintendo office for the first time. And they had that cool display, which was just out for people to see. That was incredible. Like the store, I walked by Reggie's office. He was in there doing like a phone call. I was like, oh my God, this is great. Yeah, but I realized like a lot of people didn't love that office.
Yeah, yeah.
So they were very happy to move on.
Yeah, it was really cool because right before and this is an actual photo of that office mowed down basically, before they built the new office, but right before they did that, the team that I was on was like, oh, we're gonna do this really fun paintball event inside the old office.
Yeah.
Like that will be our goodbye to
Because
the
we're just
old
going to tear it
office.
down anyway.
We're gonna tear
So
it
let's
down,
make
so
let's have
let's
a good
make a
time.
mess.
Right.
And we literally played paintball like throughout the old
Did you
Nintendo.
Did you play?
Yeah.
I wasn't there for that.
No, you weren't. Once again, you were not there. I was at the Mariners game with Howard Lincoln. I played paintball.
You're living a double life.
I was there 2 years before you. You weren't around.
All right.
Sorry.
All right.
But it was crazy. It was so much. It was like nighttime, and it's always weird to go into the office like in the middle of the night.
It's like going to school at night. Yeah.
Exactly. It's like, oh, I shouldn't. There's something
shouldn't
like,
be here.
something like a little like illicit about this. Like, oh, what's going to happen at night at the office? And we literally played paintball, and we made a huge mess pre-Splatoon days. So this was like, maybe that inspires Splatoon. I don't know. And then the next week they knocked it down.
Wow.
Right.
Very cool. All right. On we go. Cafe Mario. So this is the cafeteria in the office, aptly named. This is another thing where there were mixed opinions on the quality of Cafe Mario.
See, I don't know. I kind of liked Cafe Mario.
So did I.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that I thought you didn't like it.
Well, so we worked in the Redwood City office, which was in this kind of very bland office park, and there was no on-site food option.
Right.
Later on, they made a big deal of getting this like really bad
that was the
vending machine
worst option.
where the featured item was a quote sandwich, where it was a piece of cheese, a piece of salami, and then another piece of cheese. That was the sandwich. Like, we're missing some pieces here. So I didn't eat that. And
Yeah, it was like airport food. It's like food that, like the ready to grab food at the airport. Remember that person got really sick from eating that salad and that thing?
mayonnaise. It'll get you.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that was not great. So compared to that, our options at Cafe Mario were much better. And it was a really nice cafeteria. It had like a nice salad bar. It had like a special, like a station where, every day it was different. It had a place for like pizza and, tacos. You were a frequenter of the taco bowls.
It's good. And they would even do like themed lunches. Again, this
Yeah.
is not our picture, but it would say November 10th, 2017. So this would have been
Yeah.
like shortly after the release of Mario Odyssey. That came
Right.
out just
So they
before
had
Halloween.
Cappy's-
So you can see
what
like
is
they've
it?
got the Goomba stack.
Yeah,
So
Cappy's
we got
vegetable
I'm not sure what
critic
Fox
platter.
McCloud's doing there, but they would do, kind of
Fruits
like
and berries.
themed events. But yeah, there was like a very kind of school type vibe in there.
It was definitely like the
during
school
lunchtime.
cafeteria. You definitely don't want to like
Cliquish.
a little cliquish.
Yeah.
Like you always sat with, like your friends. There's always like, oh, this is the treehouse table. And like this is, the executive table. Like, but you see like Reggie in there. You see,
Reggie ate this food.
everybody was
Yes.
in there together.
There was not a secret Reggie kitchen.
It wasn't like he was getting like a catered,
Right.
like a lobster lunch every day or whatever. But yeah, it was just like where everybody just sort of mixed,
Right.
during the lunch hour.
And every Tuesday, they
Very
would do Sushi Tuesday, where they would bring in somebody to actually make sushi
Yeah.
for people.
So
What was
good.
controversial about it?
You hated Sushi Tuesday.
Well, I just didn't want to eat that.
Why?
I don't want to eat at cafeteria sushi.
But he's a sushi chef from a restaurant
Now-
that brought in his fresh ingredients.
People who are up to date on the podcast know I had a high-profile bout of food poisoning on an important work trip, and I just don't want to roll the dice. on these sorts of things anymore.
Really?
Yeah, I love sushi.
I love the Sushi
Just not that
Tuesday.
sushi.
That was like a big
Okay.
deal. And you would plan your business trips. You're like, can I get there on a Tuesday and have lunch? Like, let me move my flight up so I can enjoy the Sushi Tuesday. And that guy would make you with like hand rolls. It was so good.
People loved it.
I thought it was great.
Fine.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Next.
Ah, yes.
So this was cool. So outside Cafe Mario, kind of along the hallway, as you like if you look at this, like there's this glass window looking in.
If you just look on the other
If you
side
were to
of
like
that.
do a 180 turn,
Right.
they would have this lineup of all the classic Nintendo arcade machines.
Yeah.
And this is not a, this is just some random picture you pulled off the internet, right? They did not have a Ninja Turtles
No.
and a Tempest machine, but like in like absolutely pristine, perfect
You couldn't touch them.
condition. It was not for you to play. It was
No.
like a display piece.
And you couldn't take a photo of it either.
Of course not.
Of course not.
But
God forbid.
like that was a really nice touch. Like
Yeah.
you know, a good reminder of sort of where the company came from. You know, there were still people who worked on the arcade machines
That
who,
were still
who
working
still
at
are
Nintendo.
at Nintendo to this
Yeah.
day. So they have all the stories of this, and this is definitely something that they would, you know, take you to see as, if you were a new employee. And,
Exactly.
you know, educate you about what Nintendo's about and how we got to where we are now. But that was always very cool.
That was
to
really
see.
cool, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. This one, though.
You wanted to put this one in here. I don't know why.
Because I thought it was fun that we had, a lot of bathroom talk in this podcast. I don't know how this happened. But we did have cute little restroom signs that had a Mario and a Peach on it. But I just want you guys to guess, like which one is real? Do you guys think that the piranha plant urinals are real?
So that went viral like a little bit before the opening of
Nintendo
Super
World,
Nintendo
yeah.
World, and the post was like, you know, first look at the bathrooms at Super Nintendo World,
Yeah.
and this did fool some people.
It did.
Because we hadn't been there, we hadn't seen it. It was like, maybe.
Really? But then if you look and it was one of those like spoof Nintendo America Twitter accounts. But if you look but they spoofed it so well. It was such a good spoof. But if you looked really closely, it was like one letter was off. It was
Yeah.
like Nintendo America or something like that. But yeah, people totally believe this.
Yeah,
We were
stuff
like, oh yeah.
like the Onion or Hard Drive, like people would absolutely fall for that, and like would give you like a panic phone call of like, Mr. Miyamoto said what?
I'm like, this is
Oh,
the
no.
Onion. That's not real.
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, let me tell you about the Onion.
yeah, we didn't even get like panicked emails from developers. They're like, I don't remember saying this.
It's very out of character.
Do you remember me saying this? I'm like, no, this is the Onion.
It's
what?
fake.
It's fake. They're like, oh, okay. I was like, was I drunk when I said this? What's going on? That was always funny.
Yeah.
We're getting close to the end here?
I think this is the last one.
Yes. This.
This is something I have no knowledge of.
Right.
So please take us through this.
So there are these secret Nintendo archives that I have been in. I think they've since moved these archives to the Kirkland location. But when I was working at Nintendo, that was still in like that Redmond location. But basically they had like all this random stuff down there. And part of my job when I first started at Nintendo, because they were moving the entire like sales and marketing team down to Redwood City, they're like, you personally, have to go into the archives and figure out what's in there, what we need to send down to Redwood City, what we need to send off to other storage facilities, because we're shutting these departments down in Redmond. So I went down there and it was like there was no organization. There was like no rhyme or reason, but it was insanity. Like we found so much random stuff down there. There was like I saw a signed Maroon 5 platinum record down there.
Nintendo Vans Warped Tour?
Because they had like some kind of E3 party where they had Maroon 5 as like the celebrity guest. Do you remember that? It was like whatever year that was.
That was before me as well, but I did hear about that. There was like an infinite number of GameCubes signed by Evanescence.
Yes.
In the office from
It
the
was
Vans
so
Warped Tour.
weird. Yes.
It was like, why do these keep coming from? They're like multiplying in somebody's closet or something.
We found so many Evanescence GameCubes. So, like, literally an infinite number. I was like, what? We have more of these? How is this possible?
They were like trying to give them away to people.
Like, please
take
like,
these.
No,
we need to get rid of
these.
Like,
It's so weird.
I don't want it.
That was also the time where there was like that big Wii shortage.
Oh.
When I joined Nintendo, and when I went down to those archives, let me tell you.
That's where they were keeping them?
250 plus Wii's down there. I was like, oh, no one can ever see this. It was like intense down there. And yeah, I spent like a solid month cataloging everything that's down there, like putting it, in crates and trying to organize it in some way. And then later on, when we would we would have like Nintendo Minute episodes, or we would have episodes where we were helping out with the podcast, and you'd send people down to the archives to find stuff.
So I was skeptical of this because I had sort of a different experience with this. So it was, whatever year was the 30th anniversary of the Game Boy. On social media, we wanted to do some cool like photo shoot, and it was like, oh, well, in Redmond, they'll definitely have like a really clean, pristine Game Boy, and these archives that you've been talking up to me for years. So we had someone in Redmond say, please go find this. They couldn't find one.
Well, did they?
They couldn't find a Game Boy.
You know what they can find?
A Wii?
No.
An Evanescence GameCube?
Yeah.
And we had to get like from some employee who just had we had a call for like we need a Game Boy. Who has a Game Boy?
Nintendo has a bad habit with archiving stuff. I get really worried because I'm like, I shouldn't have been the one to do this. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not like a professional at like archiving company history. So I think some of that stuff just got lost. So I don't know. I feel like they have an issue with this.
But you were also telling me in the years before I joined that you had a job in the Redwood City office of, like, they would mail you new releases of Wii games and DS games.
Yeah.
Of,
and
like,
we
of
would
every
catalog.
of everything.
Of everything. This was physical
For what
copies.
reason?
Just to like have a record of it. And we kept these spreadsheets. I was like, whatever, My Little Pony for Wii.
Why do we need Ninja Bread Man?
Yeah, Ninja Bread.
Why?
We have Ninja Bread Man 1, 2, 3.
Carnival games.
Yeah, but we used to have like just drawers and drawers and drawers. But again, I don't know why it was our responsibility to archive this stuff.
That drawer was never opened.
If Ninja Bread Man goes missing in 35 years and there is no record of it for human history, I'm sorry, that's not my fault. It's not my problem.
I'm looking for Ninja Bread Man, and all I can find is an Evanescence GameCube.
It has been erased from human history, but it's not my fault. But anyways, the archives were a wild and crazy place. Then we would pull from the archives for those garage sales that we used to have at the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, where they would basically just like bring out old stuff.
Stuff they need to get rid of.
And employees could like, quote, buy them for charity. So we found a lot of cool stuff.
There was some cool stuff.
There's some good stuff in those garage sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go.
Was that number 10?
I think so.
That was number 10. So we can switch over now to a little bit Q&A. There is one microphone right there. So if you want to ask, you can line up. And we can do this for a little bit until we run out of time.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
Ask us anything, though.
Just ask away.
Maybe we'll answer your question, maybe not.
And we'll just repeat the question because we're recording this as well.
We are.
We'll be releasing this as this week's podcast too. So go ahead.
Yeah.
Hi. There are a lot of consoles, so for just a few of the Nintendo consoles, do you prefer the Mario or Zelda games?
Okay, so the question was, there are a lot of Nintendo consoles, and on the consoles if we prefer Mario or Zelda games. Why don't you go first?
I was always very much more in the favor of Mario over Zelda until Breath of the Wild. And that was a game that I worked on very closely and became my favorite game ever. So I've really flipped on that. Very much looking forward to Mario Wonder though. Like that, we watched that direct together, and that really blew our socks off and just exceeded our expectations of what they would have done to keep Mario fresh and modern. So super excited for that. But I think now sort of where we are now with what they're doing with Zelda, I would have them pretty neck and neck, honestly, which is not how I felt before.
Yeah, I think I've always been a Zelda game person. I've always loved like more of a narrative story game, puzzle game. So
I definitely still like that. Although I would say the more recent Mario games, like Mario Odyssey, really like stuck with me. I worked on that game though, so it just could be like, you're very attached to the game that you worked closely on, and that one just will always hold a very special place in my heart. So
See, my problem, I'm dumb with puzzles.
you are
Like
kind of
you've seen me play Zelda games, and I'm like, I don't know what to do, and you're like, it's right there.
I'm like, what's wrong with you? Like seriously, what is
Especially
wrong
when
with
it's in like a 3D space. I can get turned around, and enclosed 3D space is a bad place for me to be. I can get turned around really easily.
You're okay at those shrines though. You did okay on those shrines.
They're small enough that I don't get too disoriented. But I'm like, what room is this? Have I been there before? It's a mess.
It's a you problem though.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Nick.
Hi.
Hi.
I actually have a panel on here on Monday for StreetPass.
Oh.
Find me. So bring your 3DS. Like, everybody please come. I have flyers.
Oh
Nice.
boy, we love a street pass.
Yes, we do. We always love StreetPass. I've heard rumors that it might be one of the next consoles for the
Ooh.
And, I'm rumors, of course. And I want to ask you, what is your favorite StreetPass Plaza game?
Oh.
Do you need some reminders?
I do. Give me some reminders.
Other than Find Me and Puzzle Swap, then we got the newest editions.
There's like a flower garden one.
Yes,
Not that one.
Not that one.
Not that
Not
one.
that one?
No.
I like that one.
No, I don't like
It was
that one.
The pea plants with Mendelssohn. It was like.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right.
Then there was also Monster Manor.
Oh,
There was-
That one was
That
really
was good. Monster Manor was good.
Battleground Z.
Was there one where you're like trading stocks?
Yeah, it was Market Crashers.
That was
Market
cool. That was a good one.
Crashers.
That
Yeah.
was a good one. Yeah, that was a pretty good one. My favorite was Monster Manor.
I like Monster
Yeah,
Manor too.
I'm gonna get on board
I
with
like
that
the
too.
lore behind it. I
Yeah.
actually got a lot better, and everybody in the series was like commenting, and they were like, "You got so much better. I feel really sorry I crapped on you at the beginning of this Let's Play." And I was like, "Well, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm playing blind. So what do you expect?" And then like my final boss battle video got like 100,000 views. I was like,
Woo.
"Okay,
Wow.
whatever."
Amazing. All right, Monster
Yeah.
Manor. We are fans, and everyone go to the Street Pass event. Yeah, you're just still here on Monday.
And there's one on Sunday too.
So about a year ago, we did a video that was pretty popular, which was, can you get a street pass in 2022?
Yeah,
We are going to be doing the 2023 edition of that video
soon.
before too long.
Yes.
Yes.
Can we get a Street Pass in 2022?
Because we did not get a street pass in 2022.
No, I really tried.
No.
There was a guy wearing a Zelda shirt, and I was like, my 3DS.
We camped
Like,
out
yes.
outside
you
of the
have a Street
GameStop.
Pass. Where is your 3DS?
Yeah.
And then that person ran away from me.
No.
So I don't know. Whoops. Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
So my name's Rob. That was my twin brother Nicholas. We're both Italian.
Oh, how cute.
Oh, the Mario and Luigi.
I love that.
I get it.
So I'm older, shorter, and way more than him. And
He said fat. What?
boy, but he's taller and younger and all that.
So it's perfect. You really are like a real life Mario and Luigi.
Well, technically, my mom didn't marry someone who was Italian because she wanted to break free from the stereotype, but that's a whole story, and I have to get on with my question and also have coffee with my people and your people. But anyway, so it's a little mental health kind of question, Q&A. It's kind of about the dark triad: narcissism, Machiavellianism, psychopathy, and sociopathy. Have you ever had a boss that embodied, "How dare you judge me for the things I said," and did in your presence and behind your back? Also, and how do you inspire others to have empathy for others, even when you don't agree with that person?
Oh wow, deep question.
Well, I was your
you
boss,
were my boss
so I'm worried
for
now.
a pretty long time, and the answer is I'm forever scarred. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. I'm totally kidding. Oh my god, I'm totally kidding. You were actually the best boss ever. Best boss ever. Yes. Round of applause. Now I'm your boss, so how the tables have turned, people. But I think everyone, including us, experience challenging, people at work, whether it's your boss or not. There's always going to be people at work or people in your life that is going to be challenging for you to deal with. That's just life, So I think it's good to have, for me, to really like help me through those hard times. I really had a lot of people that were supporting me and giving me confidence, and someone that I could like talk to around me to help me like vent when I needed to, someone that you could trust that can give you good advice. Like that is so important to have like a support system around you when you're going through these really tough life things. So I've been really lucky to have really good friends around me to help me out. But I think this is very normal, normal to have those kinds of situations.
Yeah, I think if you are working for somebody who is not showing empathy or is not modeling whatever behavior that you're wanting them to do, it's always valuable to remind them that this is important to me.
Yeah.
Because if they're a good boss, they will take that to heart and hopefully integrate that into their repertoire more than they have. And yeah, I remember in when we were in the pandemic, which were challenging times for everybody. I was noting, people on the team were wanting, understanding, what are the company's resources when it comes to mental health. So, sort of took that as an opportunity to speak up and pull together, and help people understand what the company did offer, and hopefully that ended up being a positive thing. But yeah, I think just really, being vocal about what is important to you and what you're hoping that can be modeled as a team wherever you're working. That's always important, and people will always respect that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
I've been watching you guys. I just want to say I've been a huge fan of your stuff since like 4th grade.
Oh my
so I
gosh.
just want to say, yeah, I've been watching it in a minute for like 8 years.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so I just want
Thank
to say
you.
thank you for being a good part of my childhood.
Oh, that's so sweet. Thank you. You're making me feel old though a little bit. Can you maybe stop growing and aging, please? Okay, perfect.
But my question was, out of all the like dead Nintendo IPs, like your Rhythm Heavens and like
That's dead?
There hasn't been a Rhythm
Oh,
Heaven
no.
game in a really long time, so I would agree with him. But anyways,
so out of like F-Zero, Rhythm Heaven, Star Fox, which one would you guys want to see come back out of all those?
Tamagotchi Life.
We're doing a bad job of repeating the questions.
Oh, we are. Okay, I'm sorry.
What is the quote dead Nintendo IP we'd like to bring back?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tamagotchi Life. Where is Tamagotchi Life, people? I would love to see
That's a
that
good
game
one.
come back.
Yeah.
I know. I want that on Switch or whatever the next one is. I think that's such an amazing IP that we should see again.
I need a reboot of Star Fox.
You
like
really
from
have it.
from the ground
Yeah.
up, like getting less of the rail stuff. It's clear that genre just is not working for a lot of people anymore. It's obviously got a great legacy to it, but
Yeah.
it's such a so many rich characters, a big world. There's a lot of possibilities. People always talk about like, wow, Star Fox Assault had some really cool ideas where you're in a plane, now you're on the ground, now you're on foot. Like imagine if you had that in sort of bigger areas. Like I feel like there's the bones of something big there, and it's like this is such a huge potential. It's just waiting to be given the right opportunity.
Yeah, but a true reboot.
We're starting fresh.
Yeah,
yes.
we cannot do like another.
Nothing is sacred. We are starting
Just throw out
fresh.
the book and start fresh.
Right.
Yeah.
Good choice, thank you.
Hello,
Hi.
Hello.
I'm a big Fire Emblem fan, so I wanted to know like anything that you would like to share, a fun fact, maybe something that related to your works, anything to Fire Emblem that you would like to share.
So
Fire Emblem.
anything about Fire Emblem that we would like to share? So we were just commiserating about how when we would work on Fire Emblem games, and the person from the treehouse would come in to sort of give us the rundown of what the game was, they were very quick to say, and here's who dies.
This person had they found very specific joy in spoiling Fire Emblem for us. I don't know why. Maybe, I think because she got spoiled. So she was like, you know what? If I can't have like a moment.
Passing trauma down.
Yeah, like if I can't have a genuine moment of surprise, like none of you can. So yeah, I'd be terrified of going into those meetings. I'm like, do I need to plug my ears? Like what's gonna happen in this meeting? But it's always like, yes, these are the characters that die. Here's what happens. Here's the story. Get to work. It's like, oh, all right then. Another fun fact for me is I'm like a Fire Emblem like normie, I think. Because I actually didn't start the series until Awakening. So, and then I
Like a lot of people,
I don't
to be
know.
fair.
Maybe not. I feel like a little ashamed because now I'm a huge like Fire Emblem fan. I've played every game since then, and I've even gone back now that some of the games are on the NSO stuff that I've been playing some of the older Fire Emblem games as well, and they're so amazing. It's like, oh man, I can't believe I missed these. But yeah, it was. My Fire Emblem fandom started kind of late in life, so yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey guys, my name is Matthew for the podcast.
Thank you.
Question for you guys is, this weekend at PAX, there's a lot of indie games on the floor. Are there like the top 3 indie games you guys have seen or heard about here this weekend that you guys are looking forward to or interested in?
Yeah, so the question is if there are cool indie games that we saw at the show. We saw one today that we both loved.
I always forget the name, though.
I believe it's called, and I'm so sorry if I get this wrong, Thank You for Being Here.
It's by Panic. They're the people who
Yes.
do the Playdate. They just had sort of a big, their version of a direct, and they announced and showed off a bunch of new games, and this is one of them. This game is coming to the Switch. It's coming to a lot of things. There's 2 actions you can do: jump and slap, and you play as this
Teeny salesperson.
tiny little salesman in this sort of extremely British
Town,
world.
Yeah.
You played it. What were you doing?
So you're basically like helping people out in this world, but everything is like very humorous. The signs all around this town were hilarious. All the characters are doing like really weird stuff. I was laughing a lot, but the humor is also very British, so there were some jokes that I think kind of went over my head a little bit. But yeah, it was just like a very kind of like satirical game, and I'm not sure like what the start and the end is going to be, but the sort of the part that we played was really fun.
We got to talk to the developer after, and there was some of the British humor that went over our heads, but we were like, so British people will get this, right? And he's like, oh no. Like we're from a very small town in northern England, and it's very specific to us. So
Yeah,
like,
like, oh, okay. So it was great. Yeah.
Yeah. That they're also in this building again in the Panic booth. Look for the giant Playdate. That's worth a look.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Thanks.
Hi, this is Bob Gamer. It's just wanted to meet you guys. Thank you so much for bringing so much happiness into my life. I always love the personal questions that you guys have. I know you recently had the bonus Q&A where you answered quite a few. So my question is, you guys have aged awesomely, and I'm just wondering, are you a front, back, or side sleeper?
Oh.
That's a good question.
So the question is, are we a front, back, or side sleeper?
Is there like a correlation between how you sleep and how you age? I think that I have seen like YouTube videos about that actually. I'm a back sleeper. I did hear that you can't sleep on your face because it causes wrinkles. I don't know if that's true or not.
Like face plant into a pillow?
Don't face plant into a pillow.
I don't think people
because
do
you
that.
don't want to. That your face gets smushed. The wrinkles.
Sometime, like 10 years ago, I think I changed. Like I used to be pretty much like
You shouldn't do that.
on my tummy
Your
doing something like that,
face.
and then I became a side sleeper. And I could do either side. I'm versatile like that.
Oh, you're an ambidextrous sleeper.
I'm very good at sleeping. Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
There you go.
Thank you so much.
Wear sunblock. That's how you stay young. FYI.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
So, it's a Zelda Splatfest, and there's Goron, Zoras, and Korok. Which one do you choose?
Gorons. Hands down. Oh, I didn't repeat the
So
question.
Goron, Koroks, or
Zoras.
Zoras are the three.
Yeah.
If there was a Splatfest, what would you choose?
Right. Gorons.
Not Koroks?
I don't like the Koroks. They're really annoying.
But we agree, not the Zoras.
We both dislike the Zoras deeply.
Well, I think you dislike them more than I.
Sorry.
You
no
said
offense.
some.
I do like Sidon.
You said some
I like
wild
Sidon.
things.
I like Sidon
about
a lot.
Sidon's
But
girlfriend.
Sidon's new queen is no thanks. See ya. Yeah, I don't like her. But yeah, Gorons are great. I love the Gorons. They're the best.
Koroks.
Really?
Yeah.
But you've tortured them
That's my
so
answer.
much in Tears of the Kingdom.
Well, they put up with a lot, and now they can be my pick.
What? This doesn't make any sense. All right.
There you go.
Hi, hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Nice to see you guys again. Thanks for coming out. Last year, if you remember, we were in the panel with Sheridan. I was the one that asked about I mentioned the PlayStation Vita and how.
Yes.
Yeah, same guy. So, in the last panel of last year, I mentioned what kind of systems you think we're going to be seeing as we progress more into handheld gaming. This time, with Tears of the Kingdom introducing a gameplay mechanic that has become absolutely sensational, what kind of games do you think we're going to be seeing in the future, or like 1 year from now? What kind of different types of mechanics you'll think? Not just Nintendo exclusively, but just generally, like across the board.
Yeah, so the question is, what sorts of games might we see in the future, and might they be influenced by what we saw in Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah.
We've noted this trend a lot because we're trying to keep up with all the games that are being released this year. Like, wow, everything has become a 100-hour RPG, and that's very hard to keep up with.
Right. It's very hard, and I think in my perfect world, there would be just more variety. Like we need games of all sizes, I think, for us to have balance as players, but also for these poor developers to have balance when they're creating these games. You hear all of these stories are like, I'm completely burned out because I've done 10 years making Starfield, and you cannot expect someone to always make a game like that, all the time. So I think if we can find some more balance and more variety and have games of all different sizes, I think that would be really good for us.
Yeah, in the AAA space, there will always be some amount of trend chasing happening, so I wouldn't be surprised if people try to take the building of Tears of the Kingdom and try and do that. I think that would be very hard to do, so I'm not sure how it'll work out for everybody. But I also wonder, we're doing our playthrough of the original Mario RPG, and that game's only 12, 15 hours long. I do wonder how people are going to receive the remake, because they have this expectation of RPGs equals a long game.
Right.
And is there going to be some friction if people don't have any connection to the original? Well, I thought this was going to be an RPG, and I'm done after 15 hours. This is why we say indies are really the glue that are holding the industry together, because they are the ones who are putting out these unique experiences that have. They just feel like they're going in different directions than following the trend.
Yeah.
So, yeah. One game that we checked it out together on the plane over here yesterday that I just want to plug is the making of Karateka.
Yes.
Which
or
is sort of
Karateka. They let you pronounce it anyway.
There's a whole chapter in there that's how do you pronounce this?
Yeah.
And the conclusion is nobody knows.
But it's fine either way.
But that is a new genre that Digital Eclipse has made, where it's sort of an interactive documentary. And that feels like something, they came up with it, but that feels like it solves a lot of the problems that are out there with game preservation and getting people to care and understand about the history of games. So that's another example of something that just felt completely fresh and really cool and important.
We are in the age of super quality remakes too. I think the remakes, this year alone with Resident Evil, with Metroid, hopefully with Super Mario RPG coming up later this year, people want these remakes. They want these games that they loved as kids to be preserved and reimagined in new ways, and I think there's a huge opportunity there as well. I would like to see more of those myself, so. Yeah.
Great, thank you. If I could make a game recommendation real quick.
Oh, go for it.
Neural Voider.
Okay.
Neurovoider.
Neurovoider.
We got one
Okay.
in agreement, yes.
We got twin stick roguelike, but it's great for all difficulties. It's
Awesome.
very pulpy, very action.
Cool.
I love it. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
I think we might have time for maybe 2 more.
Yes.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi.
I don't know if you saw, but this weekend it was revealed that Nintendo's retention rate for new employees is among the highest of all Japanese companies at 98.8%, which is a strong indicator that Nintendo is really satisfied with at least these new employees, at least Japan. And I'm curious as to what you think makes Nintendo such a popular place to work, and if you think that it lives up to the hype, at least on the appearance.
So the question is, what makes Nintendo an appealing place to work in Japan? And there was this news point that came out that 98 point something retention they had on new employees this year, sort of backing that up.
Yeah, so obviously I think, for us, when we were working at Nintendo, one huge part of what made us stay at the company for so long is because we love Nintendo. Everyone that works there truly had a passion for Nintendo games and products. I don't think there was anyone there that was not a Nintendo fan. So it was a bunch of fangirls and fanboys working at this company. And I think that is both good and bad. So the good side is that you get to go to work every day and you get to work really hard for a product that you believe in, for a brand that you believe in. And that part of it was very satisfying. Like I knew that every day when I came in and worked really hard, at least I believed in the product and I knew that it was gonna make someone happy to play these games. But the bad part of that is like you do give the company like a lot of excuses when you're not happy. You know, when you feel overworked or stressed out, or when not so great things happen in the corporate world, you sort of make a lot of excuses for Nintendo. You're like, well, I should just take this because I love Nintendo so much. I shouldn't complain about this even though I'm really stressed out because I love Nintendo so much. So sort of a little bit of a double-edged sword, but I do think that high retention rate is because people love the brand so much.
The longevity is a thing in America as well, and that's very different than how people stay at jobs other places. Like we both got over 10 years, and like nobody cared. Like that wasn't any big deal for them. Right. It was like, well, I've been here 20 years, I've been here 30 years. But yeah. I was backing up Donkey Kong machines. Who cares? But yeah, I mean, in Japan, the mindset is still a little bit different, where you don't move around jobs as much. Like there can be a mentality of like, well, if I can land a good job, then I'm set for life, and I'll stay here and I'll really represent that. And Nintendo is a very competitive place to get into. There's a lot of demand. It's recognized as an important company in Japan. So I can understand that number. I believe it. Thanks. I think this will be our last one because they will pull the plug on us.
Oh no, that sounds.
It's not a.
Scary.
So my main question is, I know that you two have been a part of Nintendo for a long time, like especially like during when the Wii was like really big and all that stuff. And I know we've had like 2 console generations since then, and I know like the menus have like changed and everything. So now that you've like left Nintendo and like a lot of time's gone by, we're probably gonna have to switch to like next year. What do you think of the like Nintendo Wii menu compared to like everything else we've seen since then?
So having seen a lot of Nintendo consoles, what do we think of the Wii menu specifically?
I like the Wii menu. Do you not like the
Well,
Wii menu?
we went back to the Wii for some videos recently, and like the Wii remote remains like a super
solid,
sleek, like seems like 15 years later, it's like, wow, this is like really amazing. Like, wow. So, I mean, having that sort of pointer functionality, the different channels, the idea of that.
I was just gonna say, I really love the channel and like the cheesy music, the elevator music. I think that was some of the best music ever. Like the Wii menu music and the weather channel music.
Yeah, like the boats, the weather, like all those different ideas that like they're not interested in having on the Switch, because it's like, this is a games machine first, all that extra stuff, we're gonna cut that out. But it did have a lot of personality, a lot of charm. Very easy to use. I like it.
Yeah, I think that we should find a balance though. It's really nice that Switch is so snappy and you just, you turn on your Switch and you can jump into your game in the matter of seconds, and that's awesome. But it'd be nice to get some of that personality back from the Wii and the Wii U days. I think if we can find like some sort of balance between the two for the next thing, that would be really great.
Yeah. We are out of time.
Yes, the PAX people are gesturing at us.
Thank you for coming. Patreon supporters, where are you? Raise your hand.
I know you're here. There we go. Thank you so much for your support. You guys are keeping us going, so we really appreciate it. And thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
The best time.
Have a great rest of your show, everybody. Bye.
Yay. Bye.
Bye.
And we're back.
Every time. Every time.
I mean, it's not like we're not coming back.
I know, but I just don't know when it's going to happen.
Okay.
Nervous.
That panel went really well. The turnout, it's hard to tell from the way we angled the video, was so good. It was so much better than we could have hoped for. Honestly, better than the turnout for the panel that we did last year. So really thank you to everybody who came out for that.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And once we got started, I was no longer nervous, and I just had a great time. So
yeah.
Awesome.
We have a lot of games that we have been playing, including Super Mario Wonder, that we want to tell you all about. But first, we got to shout out our other sponsor for this episode, HelloFresh. Thank you, HelloFresh.
Yay!
With HelloFresh, you get farm-fresh, pre-portioned ingredients and seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. That's why it's America's #1 meal kit.
We've been so busy traveling, prepping for PAX, that, going to the grocery store and making a meal is nearly impossible.
Not gonna happen.
But with HelloFresh, it was possible to eat, which is very important. I definitely relied heavily on my HelloFresh meals, both right before and also coming back from PAX. And they have some really great fall recipes right now. And it's awesome. It's quick. Some of the meals you can do in less than 15 minutes, and I love it.
Yeah, I was going to say, now that we are past PAX, in our eyes at least, summer is over and we are into fall.
Right.
So they have over 40 different recipes every week, HelloFresh does, and many of them are starting to look ahead to fall. So if you're ready to get into that fall mood, some of those recipes will help you get right there. So go to HelloFresh.com/50KitKrysta and use code 50KitKrysta for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. I repeat,
wow!
Go to HelloFresh.com/50KitKrysta and use code 50KitKrysta for 50% off plus 15% off the next 2 months. HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit. Wow.
That is some great discounts.
It's a good deal.
So we will leave the link right over here and also in the description below.
All right, let's talk about the games we're playing, and let's not wait any longer. We'll start with Super Mario Brothers Wonder.
Yeah.
So at Nintendo Live, they had a huge section, a huge corner of the venue set aside for Mario Wonder, and there was this great display of statues of all the characters and Mario, Elephant Mario cramming himself down a warp pipe, and no joke, like they must have had about 50. I mean, how many do you think they had?
Yeah, I think at least 50 stations.
And it was a demo where it was on a timer, and I think they had us play for about 15 minutes.
Yep, but you can freely explore in those 15 minutes, pretty well.
Use it use that time however you wanted. They did have us all the stations playing 4-player, I think, to just help move the people through the line. So we got matched up with 2 other people we didn't know. Which was fine, but it is a sort of a different experience playing that game 4-player versus single player, or I think even if it was just you or I. But yeah, we started off presumably from the very beginning of the game and got to play through about 4-ish stages.
Yeah, we did some different things too. We played some of the more traditional stages. We also did one of those badge challenges, which they talked about in the direct. I think we got a good feel, I think, of the game, even though it was a little frenetic at times playing with 2 people that we didn't know. I think we did get a good feel of like what the power-ups feel like, what are the Wonder Flowers doing, what are these different sort of stages feeling like. Some of them are different difficulty levels as well, and I got a sense of like, oh, okay, when they say like 2-star difficulty, what does it mean? And then sort of the freely exploring the overworld, what that was all like. So I thought that was a great way to get people to, get a taste of Mario Wonder. And I loved it so far. I thought it was really, really fun. I can't wait to play more of it. But that little taste that I got was great.
Yeah, let's dig into some of the details. So, that aspect of being able to walk freely through the overworld is nice, because sometimes you'll get hung up on a level that, is giving you trouble, or you just kind of don't like it. Maybe it's like an underwater level, and you're like, I kind of don't want to
feel like it right now.
I don't want to do that right now. So you can just kind of bypass that and come back to it when you're ready. So that's a really nice addition. And some of the stages are traditional Mario stages, and some of them have sort of a different thing where you're supposed to do. Like one that we did was a badge challenge, which you were mentioning about, where if you do it you can get a badge, and that's a big I think that's one of the biggest new additions to the game, where you can get
Right.
kind of like a perk for your character and assign that and sort of change the way it plays. The one we did was for wall jumping. So, you know,
Mhm.
in Mario, typically when you wall jump, you go in one direction and you're jumping off in the other. This
Yeah.
one was
You're
very
just
different.
vertically jumping up the
Right.
wall.
Right.
And
And
I was very confused by this when I
it
first
took me a
started.
minute to get my handle on this, because I've just never seen a Mario wall jump to go like this. But I could see that being handy for certain levels, or depending on what you're trying to do in the level. So that's great, and there's a good number of those badges. So I'm really excited about that.
Mhm.
It seems like you can get them there. I think we found a shop where you could buy some of the other
Yep.
badges. I'm very curious, sort of what the flow of that badge system is once you get into the game, and
Right.
I'm sure there are some that'll be harder to get than others.
Yeah, exactly. I was really like curious about that when I saw the badges in the Nintendo Direct, and curious to see like how that changes up your gameplay, and it was good to get a feel for it there.
The other thing that was a big change that we noticed, that it probably was in the Direct, that I think we just didn't pick up on, is you no longer really physically interact with the other characters.
Yeah.
You're all playing together, but you know, like you had in the new Super Mario Brothers games, of like bumping into people or picking them up or bouncing off of them, like that's not in this game.
Right. And I think that there's good and bad to that. Like obviously sometimes when you are trying to like traverse the level, you can get in each other's way, which can make it a little bit challenging or frustrating. But I do kind of miss the, you know, getting picked up, and that interaction of like, oh, you need to help your friend get to like a higher ledge, or if you're just trolling, you can like throw them, you know, into a pit or something like that. Like that interaction was really fun. So I might miss that a little bit, but I can see some benefits too, where the levels do feel, you know, so just jammed full of stuff that maybe like that just would be too much. Like it would just be too confusing. Yeah, that is one thing that I noted, is that like you definitely have a lot of replay value, because going through a level once, you're missing like a whole bunch of secrets and things. I think that there's just like so much to discover in every level that you'll probably be going back like a ton. So
Yeah, I don't know exactly how I feel about that change either. Those games could get very bumper car-y when you had, you know, even more than just two players, and especially doing jumps could be tricky. But the element of picking up another player was fun, and added a lot to that. So I guess I just need to play more of Wonder
yeah,
to fully see how I feel about it. But it is what it is. It's clearly a decision that they went with, and it also, you know, is sort of reflected in how the online works as well, which I think is a great
right.
addition. So I don't think it's gonna, like, you know, really dampen how I feel about the game, but it is significant.
Yeah, it's a big change and something that is really different for this series. So we'll see.
We also got to check out some of the new power ups. So we got to
Yeah.
try the elephant transformation,
The
the drill.
drill.
We did not get to try the bubble. Did you get?
We did not try
I
the
didn't get to do
bubble.
it, at least. I didn't see you
No,
get it either. Yeah.
no. You played as Mario. I played as Toadette. So we very quickly were able to try out the elephant power up for our characters, and yeah, that was something. You definitely feel like very heavy.
Very
You know,
big.
the like the sheer weight and size of it is very, just feels very tactile in that game, which is fun. I like the water, shooting the water out of your trunk. Um, that was a you know, a really fun mechanic. It is kind of like, you know, when you have four giant elephants on a screen and you're just like running through this insane level, and there's so much going, it's like a little overwhelming, I will say. I think that four players, four elephants in this level, it's like it's a little much.
Well, that's where that decision to not bump into people is good, because there's just not a lot of room to be bumping.
Yeah, I don't think four elephants that would not fit like on the screen, which would be funny. Yeah.
One of the other people that we were playing with really had a hankering to just run.
Yeah.
Which I think if it was somebody we knew, I would have said, "Hey, knock it off. You slow down a little bit."
It was also a little kid,
I know.
so you cannot do
So I had
that to
just kind of
this
deal
child.
with it. I think if you were playing at more of a regular pace, you might not feel quite so harried about it either.
True, but it really was like it's a lot on the screen. Like honestly,
Yeah.
4 elephants and like all the other stuff going on in the background around you, enemies, everything. Like even if you weren't running, I think it's just a lot.
The drill, I think you got to use that a little bit more than I did in one of the underground levels, but it seemed cool. You can you go down into the ground, you
can
up
drill
into the
down,
ceiling.
yep.
You can stay in it for maybe like a 3 or 4 Mississippi before it spits you out again. But there's a lot you can do.
It's really interesting. It's like I was trying to like get a handle on the controls for it because you can do quite a lot with the drill. And then obviously like enemies would fall on your head and just like bounce right off because your head's like a pointy drill. So yeah, there's a lot there. That level was really interesting because you're kind of like digging down into like the crystalline depths to get to your wonder seed. And again, it feels like, I don't know if I'm describing this quite right, but like each stage there's just a lot happening. Like this one you're being like crushed basically by like a boulder, and the idea is to keep going down as the crystals are breaking for you to get to the wonder seed. And I don't know, I feel like this is much more than just like run to the right kind of thing, with enemies coming at you. There's a lot going on with the environment that is changing up the way that you play and giving you challenges and at times I did feel like it was a little bit overwhelming, but it could have been the fact that we were playing with strangers and
blame
playing,
that guy.
blame that little kid, playing in a show environment. I'm sure when I'm playing by myself I'll be able to
that's why
like,
I hate
out.
playing games at shows for that reason, because it's like either you got somebody breathing down your neck, some creep from Nintendo breathing down your neck. Have you tried this? Have you done that? You do this? You do that? It's like, leave me alone. I'm gonna figure this out on my own. Or
you don't want a backseat gamer.
Exactly.
Or
you're matched up with somebody you don't know. We did also check out the Wonder Flowers, and I like those. I mean, those are kind of like really bite-sized tweaks to the game systems that you might be doing something different for like 30 seconds or, it's not meant to be like the whole level. But they were fun and they were different, and that's a cool way that they can keep things fresh. I'm sure they've cooked up all sorts of ideas for that. So I like that idea.
Yeah. The Wonder Flowers I've been curious about for so long. Like what is it exactly? It definitely, I don't want to describe it like this, but I can't help myself. It's like Acid Trip Mario. That is what that is. Like you just go on a, like sort of like everything becomes like trippy in the level. And it's weird in a good way. It's definitely weird though. Like it's one of those things where only Nintendo can pull something like that off, or it just feels like super bizarre. And like, you're like, what were you on something when you made this, when you decided to do this? Like, did you lick a mushroom? What's going on? But that's what it feels like, and I'm curious to see like what other Wonder Flower effects there are in this game. But the ones that we saw were just complete like psychedelic dreams. So it was really interesting and fun for sure, but definitely weird.
My other big impression of the game is that it is absolutely beautiful to look at. So colorful, so vibrant. All the characters, again, the expressive faces. I'm very into the expressive faces.
Yeah.
Really have a lot of different looks to them, and it's fun to see, depending on what character you get, how they brought that into life, and really detailed backgrounds too. It's a 2D game. You're not interacting with these backgrounds, so it's just kind of there to look at. But they really do make you feel good, feel happy, give you that good Mario feeling as you're playing, and we saw a good variety of those.
Yeah. I think we saw a good variety of like different types of levels too. So you saw like the underground, you saw sort of like the bright, you know, rolling hills kind of Mario level. You saw like the desert levels. And all of it was absolutely gorgeous, looked fantastic. Yeah, I love how colorful and vibrant and bright it was. And yeah, I think that part of it truly is like a feast for the eyes, like you're just excited to play more just to look at it because it's so pretty. Now, did you hear any differences in Mario's voice at all? Like when you were, is it a little bit harder to hear in
I
that
couldn't really hear
but...
because we were in that big, center, and it was just loud. No, I didn't. I have heard, obviously in the direct. Now I'm paying more close attention to it.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal to me. It's close enough. I'm not drawn out of the experience or anything like that.
Yeah, same here. It doesn't seem like it's a huge departure from, Charles Martinet's Mario voice. So yeah, I didn't hear anything, as I was playing the game that was like, oh, that's different. I didn't have that experience at least now, not right now. Maybe when I play by myself in a quiet space, I'll be able to distinguish it a little bit more. But for now, like it doesn't feel odd or anything like that.
Now, a few episodes ago, we went through and listed our top 3 most hyped games of the year.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask if you had to reshuffle your list now that you have played this, because I did.
I definitely am pretty hyped for this game. I think this was on my list, though, no?
I think we both had it on the list. I didn't have an ordered list. My 3 were Mario Wonder, Mario RPG, and Cyberpunk, the Cyberpunk DLC.
Oh, okay.
So there's a bit of a curveball to that list.
I can't even remember what I had.
You don't remember?
No, I don't.
Well, fine. Mine now, it's like Mario Wonder is like way above anything else.
Yeah.
It feels just...
I think I had Spider-Man on my list.
Spider-Man, yeah. Well, good for you. You can play those both on the same day. You can do a Mr. Sakurai double hand, big brain
double
thing.
hand, yeah.
Exactly.
I can definitely do that. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, I really felt like, oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've played one of these 2D Mario games, and this is a really good one, and there's a lot of new things here, things I want to try out. I want to play it by myself. I want to play it with you. I want to play the online with a lot more people. It's like just getting really excited. So having that direct, they did a good job with this. Having the direct, having the impressions, they had interviews, and then they had the hands-on. Like that was a really impactful week for them with this game.
Yeah.
Really big
they had
week.
A lot of interviews.
Really well done.
Yeah, really well done. We know the person working on this game, so shout out to you.
Yes.
Good job. You're tired, but you did good. But yes, I agree. I think this is rocketing to the top of my list of cannot wait to get my grubby little hands on this game. And exactly. I have the same feeling as you. Like this was a great taste. I'm so glad we got a chance to play it and just like hold the controller and explore a little bit. But it just sort of like whet your appetite about like, oh my gosh, there's just so much to explore, so much to discover with this game. There's so many ways to play it too. Like I can't wait to, slowly do like a single player exploration of all of the different things in this game, but also do like a fun multiplayer and then do the online mode with our amazing Patreon community. Like there's just so many different like ways you could play this game to change the experience. So yes, I am so hyped for this game. Could it be GOTY contender?
I mean, we had that in the thumbnail.
It is
when we
on
did that episode.
The table for
it's
sure.
There. Yeah.
2D Mario GOTY contender is incredible stuff, guys.
We have kind of a mini Q&A at the end of this episode because we had some Q&A in the PAX panel too, but all the questions that we pulled are also Mario Wonder. So Let's just sort of hit pause on that and keep talking about a few other games, and then we'll be back before no time at all. Next game is Starfield, which I don't know what kind of updates we have on Starfield since we've been away. We obviously had our huge hour-long impressions video that you should check out if you haven't. The game's finally coming out of early access and it's going to be out for everybody to play. Have you played any more since we've been back?
I played last night. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I So you and I finally, now that the game is sort of coming out of early access, you and I both did the same thing where we looked at some guides finally that now exist.
Well, I saw
And
that tweet from Gene Park where he said I blew through the story in 20
yeah,
hours, which I didn't think you could do. I
I
had seen
didn't think
people
so
saying like
either.
30 to 40. So that is now the thing that I am doing, is trying to kind of mainline the story, and then from there I will expand into side stuff.
Exactly. So I was, my surprise is that we are both pretty far along in the story, like the main story quest. Like we're over halfway, I think, both of us. I think I'm actually like even closer than you are to the end. So now my focus is very much like I'm gonna finish the main story for this. I do want to check out, what happens afterwards, because I think it does open up a lot more
Well,
exploration.
the other thing that
That's what
I've been
people
seeing
say.
people say, mostly Greg Miller, who was doing like 100-hour stream, is
Yeah,
he's
Greg
saying like,
hasn't showered or
oh my
eaten
god,
for
the new
days.
game plus in this game is amazing, and he's obviously not spoiling it, and I haven't been looking, but it could be cool.
Yeah, yeah, no, I'm excited because I didn't realize that the main story was so like tight,
Yeah,
and a very easy experience, which is great.
it's hard for me to really go deep on my impressions because I'm in a very spoiler heavy part of the story right
Yeah,
now.
I think I know where you are because I got
Um,
there and I was like, huh?
I think maybe the only thing I can vaguely say is, so in our first video we said we went to Earth, and Earth is just like a desert, and you're like, huh, well, things went bad on Earth, but now I'm understanding what happened to Earth and how it got to be the way it is. And it's quite
Yeah,
interesting. So
yeah,
and there have been a lot of other like revelations about the nature of the game and the main story,
yeah,
which are very interesting, that I will stay away from for a
right.
while, because they are very, I mean, I imagine this is like some of the biggest revelations of the whole thing.
Yeah, we have done spoiler casts before, like months after
Mm.
games have come out. Maybe this is a contender
Oh, good
for
idea.
a spoiler cast. If you guys want to hear that, let us know. But I have need to, again, it's one of those games where it's like I just need someone to talk to because a lot of things are happening. One thing, not a spoiler, that I will say to that we both found to be really interesting is we're having sort of a different experience in our games. Like different characters are having different experiences, so it is dependent on how you are playing and the choices you're making, to dictate what's happening in later parts of the story. So I found that to be interesting, as I talked to you after a very significant part of the story, and you're like, oh, that didn't happen to me, something else did. I was like, oh, I didn't realize it was different for people. So that's
Yeah,
cool.
there are a number of branching paths, it seems,
Yeah,
about what can happen within certain
I love that.
story beats, which is cool.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say is I went through a very long stretch the last 2 nights where I kind of didn't do much combat at all.
Yeah.
It was very exploration heavy, very story
Same.
heavy, interacting with other characters, which, again, when I saw the direct and some of their earlier videos, it seemed like, at times it felt like space Call of Duty. I've used that term before. So it's nice that they spread those out a bit more and give you more variety of things to do. And I'm playing the soldier, so I like the combat. Combat's no problem for me. It's fun, but I think the option is there to take a different direction with the combat if you're choosing a different class.
Yeah, I barely had any combat in the last like 3 or 4 playthroughs that I've done. And I've been just spending so much time in my spaceship these days. I'm like, oh, this is kind of nice. Like I'm really starting to like learn about the optimal way to travel in my spaceship, and assigning my party to do things, and spend a lot of time exploring and sort of flying around. And it's been great. It's been
Yeah,
really
yeah.
different than what I expected, for sure.
See, I don't think I have too much more to share on that. That wouldn't be spoilery, so maybe we just move
Yes.
on.
Let's move on.
Two quick games that I played on the plane to and from Seattle, and one of which I mostly finished. And this was a fun, because you were sitting next to me. You could really sort of share this one with me.
Yeah.
The making of Karateka, or is it Karateka, or is it something
Karateka.
entirely different?
Karateka.
They made a whole documentary on this game, and the conclusion was, we don't know. So this is by Digital Eclipse, who did the Atari EP50, which we talked about last year. And this is a new genre that they have made of an interactive documentary. And Atari 50 was incredible. It absolutely blew my mind the way that they did this. And I was like, gosh, how come nobody's done this before? So now they're sort of branching off and doing it for individual games and going into that same level of depth on an individual game. And to be clear, Karateka is not a game that I had any interaction with growing up. It was originally on the Apple II. So I think, and it came out, in the very early 80s. So I think I was just a little bit too young to really be around when that was a thing. And it eventually came to a lot of other platforms, but, it was very influential at the time as far as, having, using really limited hardware, but telling a story and having these very in-depth animations and just basically breaking the mold of what games were at that time. So, going into it with no background, I was amazed at how much I cared and how deep into this story I got. So the guy who made it, Jordan Mechner, his next game after this was Prince of Persia, and the original Prince of Persia. So he's got an incredible resume, but you really see sort of his early path as a game designer and what led him to make this. And it's the same sort of visual approach as they had in Atari 50, where you kind of go, down a timeline, and there will either be some sort of a video, like a video documentary on a topic that you can watch, or other design materials that sort of speak to what was happening at that time. But they'll also have like prototypes of the game that you can play, and all the different versions of the game that came out on different hardware along the way that you can play. So it is, the interactivity goes beyond just scrolling through. Like you do play the game, and that is part of the experience to get to know it. And if they had just re-released Karateka, I'd be like, well, who cares? I don't have any connection to this game.
Right.
But, I mean, this is such a good new genre that they have created. I'll literally play anything that they put in this format now, because it's so interesting and so well done.
It is such an amazing way for you to learn about, games that have had a significant impact on the gaming industry or gaming history, and have it be interactive in this way. I've never really experienced something like that. I didn't really get into the Atari stuff that you did. So I was very happy to be sitting next to you on the plane so we could go through this together. We pretty much did the whole thing. And it's so true where it makes you really care about a game that neither of us had any sort of previous connection to. And I learned so much about early game development in those days, and about what this is such an interesting story too, about this is the first sort of cinematic game ever. And to hear about the history and the origins of that. Now it's so it's every game has a cinematic quality to it pretty much. And to hear about the origins of what that was back in the day is so interesting. And yeah, at the very end, we finished the documentaries and we went through everything. We both played a little bit of this game. And it really changes your experience and your perception of these games. I agree. I think if I were just to play a remake of Karateka, it would not have the same impact at all. So being able to just have this interactive history and learn about the making of in this such an interesting way was really, really fun. And yes, make more Digital Eclipse. Every game, anything that you make, we will play pretty much.
I saw they were teasing that they are working on the next one of these. They obviously haven't said what it is, but I hope that this creates sort of a demand where, companies come to them and say, hey, we still have all the original materials, and, we can put you in touch with the original creators. And it's a great way to honor and recognize these classic games. I don't know to what extent that will happen. I do still worry about sort of the mindset in Japan around classic games and the involvement of people who maybe are no longer at the company.
Right.
But yeah, as much as they can do this, I will support it and shout it from the rooftop.
Yeah, it's a great way to have a different type of video game preservation, which we talk about a lot. What a interesting and different way to look at that challenge and solve for it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah. The other game that I played on the plane is called Shotgun King. This is on... I played it on Switch. I believe it's on some other platforms as well. Making of Karateka, we should say, is also on pretty much everything, and I played it on Switch. This is an interesting take on chess. I am not a chess grandmaster. I'm not even a chess master, but
contrary
or whatever
to
comes below that, I'm not that either.
Belief.
But I do know, I know how to play chess. I can respect it for being incredibly, complex and strategic. But this is a whole different take on it. So
I watched the Queen's Gambit. Does that count?
Sure. Now you're
okay,
the grandmaster.
Perfect. I'm the grandmaster.
The idea here is it's basically one versus a whole other board, and you are a king with a shotgun.
Great.
Literally a chess piece with a shotgun. So you are trying to take out the whole other side of the board who move in traditional chess steps, but you have the gun and you can take them out. And you try to go through, it's got a bit of a roguelike feel to it, where every round you get through, you have to choose a power-up and something that works against you. So there's something good and something not so good that you have to pick, and you always have to pick a pair. So that can be fun because it's like, well, I'm picking something that gives me a bigger spread on my shotgun, but it's going to add a queen to the board. And if you know chess, the queen is the most versatile piece and
She's
the hardest,
most powerful one.
The hardest to deal with. So it's very interesting. It does follow, some of the really basic details of chess. And being able to change it up with sort of those roguelike power-up elements is really fun. So I think this is cool, even if you're again not a chess expert. So yeah, just another great kind of hidden gem eShop game to shout out there. Lastly, right. Armored Core. Anything new there? I added it here. I wasn't sure if you'd played it though.
I have been playing it actually. Oh. I am well past the tutorial.
Beyond the tutorial.
I am almost in chapter 2, so I have done there's some big moves that have happened in Armored Core, which I'm like shocked that I'm still playing and quite enjoying this game actually. So I did unlock the shop, which is important because you do need to like buy all the different parts and like start to get real deep into customizing your mech and making sure that it's really tuned for each kind of battle. So that's been interesting, but also confusing because I'm like, I don't understand what these stats mean. So it's a lot of trial and error. But it is, it is very it's very deep. Like you're just really comparing little stats and you can change out so many pieces on your mech that it is very it can go in a lot of directions in terms of how you put that together. So that is one, just one part of me being in a menu, like trying to figure it out. The gameplay part of it, though, continues to be like a little bit different than what I expected, and there's a lot of variety, which I was like, oh, okay, I didn't think that was what I was going to be in this game. Like I thought it was going to be like sort of similar to the tutorial where you have like sort of little enemies to take out, maybe like a quick little mission, and then like a big boss fight. But that really hasn't been the case once you get into the main game and the different chapters and missions. I did one that was really fun. It really reminded me of that game Shadow of the Colossus, where you like have to climb this big, huge enemy, and then like take out little pieces of it to really defeat it. So it was like kind of like a little bit of platforming. Like I was like trying to figure out how to navigate this giant mech, and get to the place where I needed to take out like different engines. And then it would like come falling down, and then you would do another thing to take out like the final boss. So that was really fun. There's also been missions where like other mechs join me, like ally mechs, and they all look really different and they have different powers. And so you have to like kind of change your loadout to be complementary to them to take out bigger bosses and things like that. So yeah, so far, pretty fun. Like right. I honestly didn't know what to expect going into this. never played anything in the series before, and I've been really enjoying it. You can do these real quick too, so it's like do a couple of missions, and then you can, I've been doing like both Armor Core and Starfield when I play every day, so it's a nice game to just kind of dabble in as well. So I'm really liking it.
Well, speaking of dabbling, we're talking about dropping a big one on the pile this week with Baldur's Gate's coming out on PS5.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure we're gonna get it. How it fits into this puzzle, I don't know.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe not well, but we're gonna give it a go.
Try.
I think.
Give it the old college try, as they say.
Yeah.
I think we're both gonna really hunker in and try to get through the main quest for Starfield in the next couple of days, and then maybe we can move on to Baldur's
Yeah, I'll feel
Gate.
better taking a little break from that if I can complete that.
Exactly. Yeah. It's actually been. I mean, we're very busy in terms of what we're playing, but it's been okay. Like we've been able to keep up pretty good, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty proud of us.
Yeah.
Pretty proud.
Let's move on to the news. We got some Nintendo news fresh this morning. They have announced 2 new bundles that are coming out they're both coming out October 6th. So the first is a Switch with a digital version of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, 3 months of NSO included, and there's not really any sort of special pattern or anything. It's just sort of the red and blue Joy-Con that we know. This has been, I mean, this seems to be exactly the same as the Black Friday bundle that they've had for years and years and years, and will continue to have until the end of time. We also have a Switch Lite bundle. There is a blue and a pink version of this that comes with Animal Crossing New Horizons and has some, kind of the leaf motif on the back. They're calling it
Cute.
Isabel's Aloha Edition. I think this one looks really nice. It's very cute.
It's really cute, yeah.
And this one will be exclusively at Target. So my question from this is, are they going to do another Black Friday bundle specifically for that? Or is this just like, let's just get started now?
I think it's let's get started now.
I think so too.
I think it's like, I mean, again, we're at sort of the tail end of the life cycle here. Like, just eke out as many sales of the hardware as possible at this point. And they really are doing like the end of life tried and true tactics at this point. Like, adding a design to a piece of hardware is a tried and true end of life cycle tactic. Bundling with something digital is another one where it's like easy for them to do. There's no extra really work involved in that. So yeah, I think I definitely think that this is like, one of those like, yeah, where we recognize that this is the end, and we just need to eke out as many sales as possible.
Yeah,
sell it through.
Yeah, it was always agonized over at Nintendo. When do we announce the Black Friday bundle? Because these things always leak, and you don't want to take away demand from the versions that you already have. So I think this is a good solution of just release it and make sure you have enough, and maybe you stockpile a lot that can get out there on Black Friday. So when that rush comes, you're ready. But yeah, why wait?
Why wait?
It's it's not that crazy of a bundle.
Right. It's literally the same bundle.
It's the same one
we've seen for like 6 years. So yeah. I think you're good. It's not like a surprising thing.
Exactly.
And you can still do all your advertising around Black Friday to like make it feel like a Black Friday bundle, but why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
All right. Next, Charles Martinet was at GalaxyCon Austin recently, and he did a Q&A, and he was asked what being a Mario ambassador was, what it meant. And he said, I quote, "I am now a Mario ambassador. I don't know what that is yet. I'm not retired, as it were, but I am an ambassador. As we step forward into the future, we'll all learn exactly what that is." Oh, Charles.
Oh, Charles. He's very honest, which is good. Yeah. It is funny to see him. I don't think we've heard like a direct quote from him on this since it's been announced. So,
but I'm shocked that they have to, approve all of these activities, and putting him out there without the information. I'm pretty surprised at that.
Do they have to approve it now that he's no longer?
If you're the Mario ambassador, What else is he talking about? What is he getting asked about?
Well, I mean, I'm asking.
You can walk down the street and get asked. I mean, you got to have some Q&A answer ready for him.
Well, maybe Nintendo
keep it locked at Nintendo.com, bro.
Doesn't have like as much control over it now because he's no longer really like officially.
You don't have control over the Mario ambassador?
No, I don't know. I just
wow.
I just feel like they've like that's a joke. That was a joke.
Well, yeah,
a joke title, obviously.
But it looks bad when he's like, yeah, I don't know. It's made up. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying though. I think after all the stuff went down, like Nintendo probably has limited ways of controlling him and what he can do. This is where he comes on our podcast.
I disagree, but okay. Yes, please, Charles, come on the podcast and reveal for us all.
You can tell us what Mario Ambassador really means. But yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see what led to this, and it gives me a sense that like maybe there is less involvement, less of a partnership than was initially sort of given to us in that vague little statement. The statement, it was very much like he's still very much involved in the Nintendo business, blah, blah, blah. But it kind of feels like he's not, because he clearly doesn't know what a Mario Ambassador is. And he clearly is able to go and say whatever he wants at whatever Kong he wants without Nintendo's approval or oversight. So I don't know. They've lost control of Charles? Uh-oh.
We did not get the video of Charles and Mr. Miyamoto. I don't know when that's happening now, because Doug Bowser also did an interview at Nintendo Live.
Yeah,
where he said,
really danced around that, didn't he?
He danced around a number of things. Like they asked him where they were in the Switch line, and it looked like he was ready to like hit the eject seat on that interview. He did not want to touch that one at all.
Woo!
But
scared of getting in trouble.
He did say they're not going to reveal who the person is until the game comes out. So like it's going to be a speed run to finish the game. Game Explain, get on it. To reveal who the new voice actor is. I think that's kind of weird.
It's going to be a robot. It's like the voice actor is
you
AI.
You are really in on this angle of AI being the voice.
What is it then? Tell us. It's going to be some no-name person.
Well, yeah, but still, like...
Who cares?
You're not having a proper reveal for this anticipated thing. You're just going to let some, again, whoever gets there first break that news and control that. That's
so
that's
bizarre.
I don't understand that. So... knowing that, I don't know when we get that video with him and Miyamoto. Maybe when they figure out what being an ambassador is.
What is that video then? If they're not going to reveal to us, doesn't make any sense.
Why even mention it?
Exactly, that's my point. Like, why would they say there even is a video if all of this is all it's just all like convoluted and stuff? You have Charles out there saying that he's not retired from voice acting. He doesn't know what a Mario Ambassador is. You got Doug saying no one's going to find out who this actor is until they beat the game and read the credits, which is very strange. And then you got to put Mr. Miyamoto out there to do a thing, like get his name involved in this nonsense. Like,
yeah, it's not the best.
That seems very odd to me. Very odd.
Let's wrap up with a non-Nintendo story. Sony is raising the price of PlayStation Plus by kind of a lot.
Yeah.
So they buried this in their monthly update about the games that were coming. And here, I'll just read the little blurb. We also wanted to let you know that starting September 6th, we will be increasing the price for PlayStation Plus 12-month subscriptions globally across all benefit plans. This price adjustment will enable us to continue bringing high-quality games and value-added benefits to your PlayStation Plus subscription service. Great. So PlayStation Plus Essential, which was the cheapest, is jumping from $60 to $80. Wow. Extra, $100 to $135. Ouch.
That's a lot.
And Premium, the highest end, from $120 to $160. Which one did you have again?
I had Extra.
But no more?
I'm going to drop, because that's a lot.
I have always been on Essential, and I will continue to be on Essential.
Yeah. I'm dropping to Essential.
It's one of those things where it's like, what are you going to do? Now that all these companies have sort of weaponized online play as this thing that you have to pay for.
Pay extra for, yeah.
Which is kind of weird how that became the default thing here. But I mean, this is happening all over the board. Like, these companies need money. Like, Disney Plus is going up, Netflix is going up. Any subscription service you have, it's just
Well,
like,
they've been
oh,
bleeding money
we can
for like
squeeze.
years.
You know what's not going up? The Kit and Krista Patreon subscription.
Oh,
So
that's true.
steady. We could peg that to the US dollar. The value. What do they have? They used to have like the Big Mac index. You know?
Yeah, it's like the value of
yeah,
a
now we
big...
got the Kit and Krista Patreon index.
That's right.
Rock solid.
The GOP, though.
Yes. So, I mean, I'm not gonna like cancel my subscription or anything. I'm just gonna complain about it. So
I will complain, but I'll drop to Essential, I think.
But I mean, we've noted like PlayStation's doing great, but they are playing this kind of tight wire act of needing to fund
so expensive,
these crazy expensive games that just keep going higher and higher. And this is like they're just gonna have to keep doing stuff like this.
You're in a never-ending race to continue to fund these games that are just ballooning out of control. And this, I mean, again, this is just another proof point in that thing that we were saying before about like we really need to reshuffle the way that we think about AAA titles, because it's not sustainable unless you want to pay for them to keep doing this at $160 a year for your premium plus editions or your PS Plus premium. So
yeah, I'm sure they have a list of here's a dozen things that we can do to squeeze out some more money, and they are like looking at like, well, it's been 3 months since we did the last one. What can we do now?
Exactly.
And they'll just keep going down the list until they have to make a new list. So I don't know.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Soon we'll be paying like thousands of dollars a month to play any online
It's
game.
nuts.
It's nuts.
And then, I mean, if you're in a
nuts.
position like us where it's like, well, I'm paying for that. I'm paying for Game Pass. I'm paying for Switch.
At some point,
online.
there's going to be a thing where I'm like, okay, what I
at some
did
point
with
I might
my...
have to bail on one.
You got to bail on one. Like what I did with my streaming services. I was like, I can't do the Netflix anymore. I'm going to bail on this.
You cut the cord and then you cut the other cord.
Cut all the
no more cords to cut.
We're all going to be living in the woods.
There's going to be nothing.
Hermits.
We're going back to cable. That's what we're doing. Cable's coming back.
Exactly. That's
See, you made fun of me. So I'm one of those people who has cable still for watching sports is the main thing that I use with cable. And now it's like it was bad for a while, but now as these other things go up, it's actually not worthwhile for me to get something like a YouTube TV. So it's like, well, I'll just stick with the cable.
Yeah.
You keep making fun of me, but I'll stick with it.
A non-cord cutter.
No.
I'm just going to stop consuming all digital content.
No, you're not. That's a lie.
I'm going to read a paper book. That would never go up in price.
A paper book.
A paper book.
Great. Next, stone tablets. Let's get into the questions from our community. We only picked 4 this week because, again, there was some Q&A in the PAX panel. They're all Mario themed. So let's get going with a question from NX Revolution. And the question is, hey guys, short question, but after playing Mario Wonder at Nintendo Live, have either of your opinions on the online changed? You can't pick each other up or collide with anyone, even locally, so the online shadows are actually pretty similar to what local play is like. When I saw that online play, I was excited. What do you think now?
Yeah, I actually had a similar thought too. Is like without the player interaction in local co-op, the online is probably like pretty similar to what you would experience locally as well. And there's added stuff in the online, like you can leave those little standees for your friends and lots of other little things that can make it fun. So now I'm like, this could be okay, and I'm pretty excited to check that out. And I like the idea of being able to like play with a lot of people that like I keep going back to like our amazing community, like how much fun we could all have together in the online. So now I'm kind of excited about it. I was like kind of down on it earlier, but I'm definitely feeling more excited and like curious to see what that experience is like.
Yeah, I was the opposite, where I was pretty in on it right away. And I thought the reason they went with the no collisions is like, well, maybe somebody's got a bad connection and there's lag. And that's probably why, again, they're still little like ghostly figures, like silhouettes, like transparent, and not all the way actual characters that you can see. But yeah, I think it's a great solution. I think this online is going to be really good. So, and it's good that it's cohesive for the full game.
Yeah, for sure.
Riven is next. Super Mario Odyssey got rid of limited lives by simply causing players to lose some coins instead of worrying about how many lives they had. Super Mario Wonder seems to be bringing limited lives back into play. What are your thoughts and opinions on this? How do you feel about limited lives as a mechanic in Mario games, or honestly any game?
I don't know why I feel like this, but 2D Mario games, I need to have limited lives.
Why?
I don't know. It's just tradition. That's what it always is. Like that's how we've always experienced like Mario games. Although I will say that nowadays in a 2D Mario game or any Mario game really, like you get so many lives.
I know, you always end up with
that
99
it's
lives anyway.
inconsequential
Yeah.
to have the limited or unlimited lives. Like it doesn't even matter because you never run out of lives. But I like having the lives. There's got to be some consequence. You know, you want to have a little
It's
bit
your
of
own shame as the consequence.
Oh, I don't have shame. But you got to have a little bit of that.
I disagree with this. I think unless you are really going for a game that has sort of more of a retro / classic thing, you don't need to do lives anymore.
Lives.
I mean, just resetting the player. There's some sort of a penalty in that. There's other ways that you can do penalties. I think it's great though when a game just kind of like really quickly puts you back in. I always like that. This again, it's not going to bother me because, like you said, you have so many lives that I'll probably never hit game over. But it's like, well, why are we even bothering that? I don't know.
Just to have it.
Okay, we'll do it for you. Silver6477 asks, hey Kit and Krysta, IGN recently published an article based on an interview with Mr. Takashi Tezuka and Mr. Shiro Mori, director and producer on Super Mario Bros. Wonder, respectively. Near the end of the article, they discuss how the game benefited from the fact that its development did not have a deadline. Given the long development times seen in recent major games from Nintendo, do you think this is a philosophy that Nintendo has adopted moving forward? Is this part of that secret Nintendo sauce we want to know?
Yeah, so that was an interesting comment by the devs, and I'm not sure if it's a philosophy that would work for every game, but I think in particular for this series, and we've talked about this a little bit, where this series really needed like a bit of an overhaul. We've gotten very stale at the end of the new Super Mario Brothers games. Like it was starting to feel very samey, very formulaic. They were good games, but definitely felt like it needed a shakeup. So I kind of wonder if that was really what spurred this kind of development philosophy, is that they recognize that, hey, we need to like kind of do a hard reset here and think about a different angle for this game. So we're not gonna like have any arbitrary deadlines or whatever. We just need to like really focus on overhauling the series. And that sort of led them down the path to not having a hard deadline, and getting us to where we are with Wonder, which obviously it worked. So good on them for giving people the freedom to sort of take a different angle, think about it from different angles. I also saw in the same article there was another quote about how they basically like said no idea is a bad idea, and like they had over like 2,000 or something like that, like design and gameplay mechanic ideas that was like thrown against the wall for this game, and that was also very encouraged. So I think those two things are kind of going hand in hand here, and there was a recognition that we needed to do this for this series.
I agree. I think this was sort of a one-time exception for this team in this game. I mean, one of the best things Nintendo's had going for it is you never seem to go more than a month without a new release, and that's helped people keep playing the Switch instead of putting it away and forgetting about it and letting it get covered with dust. And that doesn't happen by accident by just telling everybody, hey, put out a game when you're ready. Like I think they are very carefully managing that portfolio. And there's times where that's going to be really important. Like the 2017 lineup is one of Nintendo's greatest acts, I think, of how they, were able to put so many heavy hitters in that first year. And I imagine somebody over there is thinking about that, or maybe it's already set for the Switch 2, of making that as impactful as you can. And, when it's a Mario game and you're Mr. Tezuka and you're a legend, it can be amazing to say this game is a luxury for us. It's more of a nice to have than a need to have, but that's the position they're in now.
Yeah.
But I do think other games are on a bit more of a tight leash.
Yes.
Final question from Bubba Joey 01. When the inevitable sequel for the Mario Brothers movie arrives, which characters do you want to see and how would you like the story to go?
Ooh. Yeah, I feel like it's probably going to come sooner than we think.
Really?
I think so.
Okay.
Got to strike while the iron is hot, as they say. But we already know. Spoiler alert, okay, if you did not watch this movie, but there is a post-credit scene where we saw like a Yoshi egg hatching. So obviously we know that Yoshi, and not just like a scene of Yoshi's running around, but like our Yoshi will be here, probably in the sequel. Hopefully not being crushed by an elephant, but hopefully here. I love Yoshi. Yoshi's one of my favorite characters. So really, really happy that Yoshi will be hopefully like more of a main character in the next game. What about you?
I would love if they did something where Bowser is now one of the good guys.
Oh,
and they're fighting against some new threat, whatever that is.
Yeah.
I don't have an idea for what that could be. Another character, well, maybe an option would be the Koopalings. I would love to see the Koopalings. Maybe they together are the main threat that they're going against, and Bowser has to help them that way. That would be a good sort of riff on all the different RPG games that Mario's had, where Bowser is a bit more of a swing player,
yeah,
as far as being good
That's
or bad.
good.
And I think that could make a lot of fun scenarios for it. Of course, the other one, I just need Lucky too. It doesn't have to be in a leading role. I just need Lucky too in the movie.
Yeah.
That's all.
I think Daisy too. Daisy seems to be really popular these days. Daisy's already in Wonder.
Well, now that's a lot of characters now. Got nine Koopalings.
I want a romance between Daisy and Luigi though. I really want to see it.
Okay.
I think that would be really cute.
All right.
I want a little romance between those two.
Why not? Get them all in there.
So cute.
That is all the questions for this week. We get all the questions from our Patreon subscribers, of course, each and every single week. So thanks everybody for sending those in.
Yes.
All right. Time to shout out some Patreon superstars. We got some new ones this month.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Aaron Hash.
Ben Eichhorn.
Maru Mayhem.
Eigenverse.
Kiss My Flapjack.
Mike Chin.
Roy Eshke.
Switching it up _
Safazon.
VGM Life.
Link, the hero of winds.
Angela Bycroft and her pig Molly.
Turbocharge Nerd.
Thomas O'Rourke.
Kyle LaBeouf.
Christopher Lara.
Simon.
Frederick Ulf Conradson.
Andrew Uhas.
Chili.
Bruce Dash.
And Rain Tech.
Boop, boop.
Welcome, Bruce Dash, and welcome back, Rain Tech.
So exciting. Good stuff, guys. Good stuff. All right. Should we move on to our wonderful One Up Club graduation ceremony?
Let's do it. And dare I say, we may have a new addition to the fun name club.
I don't know who this is.
You've
looked at this before
get it.
me.
Maybe I'll get it. I don't know.
Oh, this is a lot of names. I need to expand.
There's some new ones, which is a bad omen for you.
Okay, here we go. Aaron Burgundy.
Ale Alejandro.
Alexander Pratt.
Astrodev.
Bad Moon Horizon.
Ben GB.
Bookham Dano.
Bookishly Fab.
Brad SF56.
Brooke Obscura.
Rookie Kazooie.
Chelly Squirrel.
Christopher Lay.
Captain Alex.
Printcat.
Sea Roper 17.
Dachshund.
Doinko.
Oh man, that's a good one. Dolce.
Dino Punch.
Elite Peach.
Espars 50.
Fart Priest 69.
Fairbound.
Fernie and Jess Forever.
Fox Deploy.
Garrett Hallfish.
Garth the Wolf.
Guardtooth.
G-Sun 101.
Heroic.
Iris Marin.
Jay Rando.
Jabroni Jones.
Jeffrey Hernandez.
Jerry 92602.
Jesse Hernandez.
John Aponte.
John Responte.
Jonathan Rowe.
Jordan Collette.
Jordan Hemmerly.
Joshua Clements.
Juji Fruit.
Just Camtro.
Justin Levinger.
Kawa 2796.
Keith Kwan.
Kevin Delane.
Kilo Kibo.
Chris Yu.
Christopia Party With Me.
Kyle Gamer Barry Rookie.
Kyle Kretzer.
Kyler Nelson.
Linnell Stickman.
Lit.
Luminous.
Mad Dog 5981.
Magnificent Easy G and Callie Marie.
Marky Man 64,
Mecha Dragon 101,
Megan,
Michael Cravens,
Mikey,
Motomania,
Mr. Andy Pond,
Mr. Beans and Dip,
MSN Poke Gamer,
My Train,
Nasir,
Nathan Burkhart,
Nick E,
Ninja 11,
Panda Buds,
Pangy,
Policy Base,
Paul Gale Network,
Prime Factor,
Prince Charmless,
Raver,
Renee Rivers,
Ryoth 1,
Rob Osborne,
Rocks,
Rianetta,
Cypher A,
Sharif Jackson,
Shinryu,
Slowbro,
Silly Ferret,
SJ Sharky 777,
Schnozzle,
Spicy Munchkin,
Steel Citron,
Sunny Gaduru,
Tales of Link,
Terrastorm,
The Shark Among Men,
Thomas Alvarez,
Three Rivers,
Topher Schmofer,
Travis Torline,
Tugs Puppy Bear,
Tusku,
Tyler Goosey, TM,
Vesves,
Video Game Stupid,
Viridian,
Virtual Bot,
Weeb Kingdom,
Wicked Davy,
Will Johnson,
Zudiver,
Zelgaroth,
Zapati.
and Zoid. Oh, these are some good names.
You're getting good.
Way to go, everyone. Way to go. Well played, all of you. Our newest Doinko is very good. I also like the Tyler Goosey TM. Not Circle R TM? Okay. All right. I'm here for it. All right. Well, we are.
This is a monster episode here. Wow.
Truly exhausted from. We had too much fun at PAX, honestly, and we're a little tired. So we're going to go and finish up this episode for you guys and get some rest, take a nap.
Who knows when you'll see us again?
Who knows? It could be any time, any moment. Don't forget to join us on Patreon to support everything we do on this channel. We are at patreon.com/Kit and Krysta.
If you're watching this on video, you can go ahead and subscribe, give us a thumbs up, and also leave a comment. And if you're listening on audio, you can also subscribe, give us a 5-star rating, and leave a written review if you please.
Please. And follow us on the socials. We're on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, and Threads. That's it.
Wow.
That's it. All right. We'll see you guys later.
Bye.
Bye.